was under commission. Last time of yachting or sailing would come to pass. Commissioner Cardinal started his post in the Cayman Islands on February 14, 1934. In January 1935, the first Cayman Islands Regatta was held in Georgetown, with boats participating from Cayman Brac. Commissioner Cardinal had foreseen that the islands were capable of showcasing their excellent shipbuilding and sailing talents in organized competition, as a means to attract international investors with the assistance of one Edmund S. Parsons and Lieutenant Colonel B.P. Dobson. Commissioner Cardinal would form the Cayman Islands Yacht Club. In a sign of genius, the Yacht Club was also used to reform the local Boy Scouts, but as Sea Scouts serving in Georgetown and West Bay. By 1937, the Cayman Islands Yacht Club boasted 134 members, with 150 Boy Scouts and Cubs.
The Rotary Central Music Extravaganza is Saturday, November 26th. Your ticket, your chance, your prize. Grand prize, $40,000. Second prize, $4,000. 6 $1,000 prizes and more. Get your $25 tickets now through Rotary Central members, Rotary Central ticket sellers, eventpro.ky, or WhatsApp Rotarian Annie Rose Scott in Cayman Brac at 916-7310. The Rotary Music Extravaganza at Salty's Grand Harbor. Performances by Heat, Fabulous 68 and CNB. November 26th, you can be the winner. Proceeds fund Rotary Central Community Projects. Rotary Central NPO number 232. Rotary, all the good you imagine.
Radio Cayman's historical vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Parma Carpet Christmas sale is back, starting 25 days before Christmas on Thursday, November 24th through Saturday, November 26th for a full 25 hours of savings with 25% off in stock carpet, 25% off in stock tiles, and 25% off in stock granite slabs. All orders should be collected within 25 hours or storage fees will apply. See in store for terms and conditions. Save big in Parma Carpet pre-Christmas sale, 25 days before Christmas from November 24th through November 26th, located on 317 North Sound Road, Industrial Park. Open Monday to Friday, 7:30 a.m. until 5 p.m. and Saturday, 7:30 a.m. till 2 p.m. Call 949-5000.
We do a whole lot more than just cover your floor at Paramount Carpets.
Your Yesteryear Musical, Saturday evenings at 8 o'clock on Breeze Radio. Entertaining, enlightening, and inspirational. Topical with CI cultural and heritage flashbacks on the wonderful music of yesteryear, from the Thomas Edison era to the recent past. Your Yesteryear Musical, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on Breeze Radio, 105.3 FM in Grand Cayman, and 91.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. That's your Yesteryear Musical, Pirates Festival and Remembrance Day edition. Saturday evening, 8 o'clock on Breeze Radio.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331.
Talk Today is proudly brought to you by Pirates Fest 2022. Stay in the know. Get the full event lineup at piratesfestcayman.com.
And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village. Convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us as we welcome you to be a part of our discussion. We have a wonderful opportunity to share with you three excellent and amazing things. We're going to talk about the Mothers Union of St. Anglican's Church, and then after we get a chance to welcome Miss Mariah Tibbetts to share with us, her journey as part of the Miss World Cayman Islands. And then, I think if you're able to assign labels to describe a sense of, deference, we could have even called him the Right Honourable, Mr. Loxley Banks, a true veteran, a true, stalwart with the community. Monday is, a holiday as we celebrate the weekend. We'll tell you why, remind you of the freedoms that we have. They came at, the highest of prices paid by many. So that's the discussion for today. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow, Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. And if she would allow me to say special thanks, not just because of what she's going to help us to understand, appreciate, and join, but for what she brings. I won't say no more publicly, but Miss Annalise Wisdom, thank you for coming on board. They say oftentimes a man is known by the company he keeps. Thankfully, it doesn't apply to women because they're all good. but thank you. As we get into the discussion, maybe at the outset, share with us Mothers Union of St. Anglican's Church. Tell us about it. What is it yourself? Yeah, there's so many good things, and many times we don't know enough about them.
That's true. Thanks for having me this afternoon. So, I'm Annalise Wisdom. I am a member of St. George's Anglican Church and also the Mothers Union of St. George's Anglican Church, and this is a mission of the church. For those of our listeners who don't know, St. George's is a pretty warm, I would say, and welcoming congregation on Courts Road, just off Eastern Avenue. And the Mothers Union is actually an international faith-based charity. A lot of people don't know that. It has over 4 million members in 84 countries.
Oh, I say 4 million just on Courts Road, but it's... No, I'm trying to be funny. Oh, it feels that way sometimes.
Yeah, but it's quite large. Yes. But it operates at a grassroots level through local communities, through the Anglican churches throughout the world, really, and here in the province of the West Indies. So each branch aims to make a difference in the local community so that the impact is felt worldwide, but it's made up of the sum total of the individual actions, right, of the branches in their various communities. So practically, we seek to bring practical support to families through our parenting programs and other community development initiatives. And we'll probably talk about those a little more later on. But as for me, I would say that I am a child of God and that I juggle many, many roles. Probably not all of them effectively, though.
So you are a child of God, honest. I don't think we juggle sometimes very effectively.
Yeah.
But we juggle all the same. Huh?
We do. So we try, right? Yeah.
It is. I think it is that effort. And I've always said to people, I don't know that it's necessarily I won't claim it to be my original saying. It's not the fall that matters, it's the failure to get up. Or at least to try to get up. Yeah. We all stumble. We all, there by the grace of God go I, they say. Yes. And you never understand or appreciate sometimes the challenges that people have, the difficulty, not just to roll out of bed or to get moving, but to find their way at their desk, whether that is 2 steps from their bedroom, whether that is, a commute 3 hours away, by a high rail speed train of some sort. You never know what it takes for that person. And that energy, it's not falseness, it's will.
Yes, absolutely.
So, there we go.
Yeah.
Transformation by faith.
Yes.
I like how that sounds. I believe in the word transform. You know what? Be there for transform by the renewing of your minds.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Romans.
There we
go.
Who said Romans did not? Transformation by faith, huh?
Yes. Yeah, that's the theme of our prayer breakfast coming up. Yes. Next Saturday, the 19th of November, it will be held at the St. George's Anglican Church Hall at 64 Courts Road, and it promises to be a wonderful morning. Breakfast will be served at 8:30 a.m., and the program will get underway at 9 a.m. So, yes, as you mentioned, it's being held under the theme Transformation by Faith. Yeah. And I guess you'd wonder why.
Is it that, there's a meeting of minds there, great minds think alike, and, despite the poem, yours is not the reason why I don't subscribe to that. but we should wonder out loud, but wonder constructively, and wonder to see how we can positively, impact things and people. So be therefore transformed. So we have to have faith, and faith is not just by, well, anyway, let me not try to get into preaching because I might get. So why the theme? I know.
Yeah. Okay, so every year the Mothers Union worldwide does promote a theme for the year, and transformation is a theme for this year. So this year the Mothers Union has asked its members to consider transformation of self, transformation of church, transformation of community. Yeah, so inward to outward, right? And then by faith, often, many times we don't think that we have enough, right? We don't think we have enough skill. We don't think we have enough resources, whether financial or otherwise. We don't think we have enough time. But if we step out in faith and just rely on God, then he takes what we have and he transforms it, right, for his use, for his purpose. Yeah. And then we see his hand. We see how his hand has worked in our lives and in the lives of others. And we witness to that, and our faith grows. Yeah. And we are transformed, and we transform others.
We've often heard, God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called, right? And many times, I'm sure we were very impressed with the sermon, with the examples of the little short guy who moves up, the one who can't speak, and all these things. And I wonder if we are so consciously aware of trying to remember the people and their particular instances, as opposed to, what's the message, right? If that person can do that thing with faith, true faith, by believing, it's not a crutch. Yeah. It is actually a structure that supports you, girds you.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. Undergirds. Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is, right? That support, that nurturing, that loving, that attentive, and that discipline.
Yes.
As we go into the break, when we come back, maybe you can share with us some more about the breakfast and the thing. I don't say this in jest, as some have shared, beauty is skin deep, but ugly is to the bone. It's not just a joke, in a sense, or an attempt at a joke. And the ugly is, in my mind, the physical appearance. It's that evil, that horrible thing that we allow to get so deep within us and in our society that it becomes entrenched almost. How do we remove that stain, and how do we position ourselves in strength, through faith, through a dogged determination, through prayer and petition, to ensure that we are contributing, so that it doesn't have to be that way, but can instead see the beauty that transforms.
That's right.
All right. After the break, could you tell us some more?
Will do.
All right. Listen, it's a Friday. Monday is a blessed holiday. I know there's much transpiring this weekend. Trust me. But through prayer, perhaps through faith, we might actually find ourselves truly sustainable and sustained. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
And the whole island is one big party.
Grand Cayman Pirates Fest is here. Taking over Seafarers Way. Saturday, November 12th, Georgetown events start at 1 p.m. with the cardboard boat race and Water Mermaids Showcase. The pirates storm the streets at 3 p.m. followed by the float parade, national song and heritage costume competition, and fireworks show at 9 p.m. A full Saturday of thrills for the entire family, including 8 hours of food festival. Saturday, November 12th, the party takes over Seafarers Way. Afternoon till night. Come for lunch, party a bunch, and pirate the night away.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab.
affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
The Pirates are back in Grand Cayman, and your station of the nation will be bringing you live coverage of the Pirates Landing and Float Parade from 3 to 6 p.m. on Saturday, with Michael McLaughlin, Ray Singh, and yours truly broadcasting from the South Terminal in Georgetown.
60 I'm bossy with J and money. When I trip it easy, trust me. Yeah. Come on, just send some money. I instant entry. Look how you lucky. Bossy, J and money, bossy. J and money, send you go a yard. Teen, bossy. Jamaica well bossy. 60 I'm bossy. We well proudy.
Celebrate Jamaica 60 with J and money for a chance to win a dream vacation for two to Jamaica, including airfare, resort stay, and more. Send money for a chance to win. Your loved ones will also be entered for a chance to win a brand new car. Competition runs from now until December 24th. J and money 60 and bossy enough.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at J and Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Bossy, Jamaica well bossy. 60 and bossy.
No J and bank account required.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Ahoy, mateys! Enjoy a jolly day out with the whole family at Cayman Turtle Center's Pirates Fest Family Fun Day on Sunday the 20th of November. Explore the wildlife, ride the water slide, splash in the lagoon, hunt for treasure and enjoy activities for the whole family. The fun takes place from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Costumes are encouraged and kids 12 and under in costume get free admission. Don't miss all the pirate festivities at Cayman Turtle Center on Sunday, November 20th. Harg.
Hello, Cayman Islands. This is Carly Davis. Come and enjoy an evening of thanksgiving and praise at Cayman Gospel Fest on Saturday, November 19th at the Lion Center. Come see Cayman's best performers and church choirs. My band and I will be there. Admission is free. See you Saturday, November 19th at the Lion Center with Cayman Gospel Fest. You cannot afford to miss it. Yes, come out and let's have fun together.
Brought to you by the Progressives, celebrating 20 years of service to the Cayman Islands.
Friday, November the 11th, 1918 is a date and time that still echoes all across the world. That was when the war to end all wars, as it was called, ended. Think now, did mankind or womankind learn any lessons about war? On Friday, November the 11th, on CI Retro's Talk Today segment at 1:30 p.m., listen in for a series of short narratives describing Caymanians' contribution to the defense and preservation of freedom and democracy over the last 104 years. Presented by the Cayman Islands Veterans Association, Radio Cayman, and Breeze Radio. That's Friday at 1:30 p.m. on Radio Cayman.
Talk today.
but I do have some questions.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thanks so much to Miss Annalise Wisdom for joining us. I think I feel that I was said to properly recognize your title as part of the Mothers Union of St. Anglican Church. The secretary and spiritual advisor, huh? I hear you listen, you know, that's phenomenal. But I'm also honored that we're now able to welcome the Deputy Branch President, Miss Karen Williams, by your phone. Hey, good afternoon, Miss Karen. How are you, ma'am?
Hi, good afternoon. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year and Feliz Navidad. Because it'll be that shortly, right?
Yes, it will be, isn't it? Yes.
Well, if it's okay with you, could we share publicly, and I will not see this as talking to the school, but recognizing your absolute discipline and dedication to your calling. You know, the fact that you, like many of us, are, how do we put it, so consumed would be the best word, with our work, that sometimes we don't have time for lunch, much less, you know, other things like sleep and the like that are important. But you still made time to join us by phone, and we miss your physical presence, but we welcome you as part of our discussion.
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you on behalf of the Mothers Union for providing us with this forum to talk about the work that we are doing, continue to do, and will be doing within the Cayman Islands community.
Well, I think, you know, when good work is being done, it's important for us to not only recognize it, but try to support where we can. And if we can build, you know, those bridges that connect our families, that help to unite our communities, it should, you know, bode well for all of us, especially in this time in human history, and especially with all that's unfolding in this country.
Exactly, and this is why, you know, we when we heard the call to transform, we took this seriously. You know, it's an opportunity to really, you know, use what we have received from God and put it back out into the community and hope to transform the lives of, you know, others as our own lives have been transformed.
Yeah, transformation by faith, Miss Annalise reminds us. Huh? It's your theme. Yeah. Now, you, just prior to it, you know, Miss Annalise was sharing with us, talking about the breakfast, and there's going to be a recognition of some individuals.
Yes.
Miss Annalise, you want to share with us, or have Miss Karen?
Sure, no, I'm happy to share. Okay. I'm happy to share, and I'm sure Karen will jump in.
Yes, please.
As well.
She may not be physically in her sight, but she's now an absent from her mind.
Exactly. But yeah, no, happy to share, and we're so excited about this because in keeping with the theme, we are going to explore how the faith of the two women we are recognizing has allowed them to be agents of God's transforming work in the communities that they serve. And so we are going to recognize our own former rector, Reverend Mary Graham. She's a retired rector of St. George's Anglican Church, and also Ms. Kathy Gomez, the former chaplain of Northward. And these, I mean, without giving away all that we will say on the morning, these two ladies have had a remarkable and transformative impact in the islands. Each honoree has, in her own way, intentionally sought out and ministered to persons who the society might otherwise leave behind, persons who the society might otherwise overlook. Reverend Mary, in her role as educator, priest, and founder of the PIN after-school program.
Positive intervention now.
Positive intervention now, exactly. And Miss Kathy, in her role as chaplain of the prison, as pastoral counselor, her remarkable work and witness in prison fellowship in these islands, including implementing and delivering the prison fellowship international programs, which help inmates at Northwood and Fairbanks to be rehabilitated. Yeah, so the remarkable work and witness of these two women will be recognized and honored at our breakfast.
I think two names that are not only very familiar to our community, but two individuals through their humility. And that's a word that I have been consciously trying to not only recognize and repeat, but somehow, let it be something that resonates within me. And they do what they've done because, in my perception, they feel a calling. And through their example, they're leading in a way that many of us can draw alongside, not for the recognition, but for what we can do to make a positive contribution.
Yes.
So, Ms. Karen, from that perspective, what else would you like to add to what Ms. Annalise was sharing?
I just wanted to add that, sometimes persons within our community do quiet work.
Mm-hmm.
I like to call it quiet work, and really don't know the impact that they have had on the lives of so many persons.
Mm-hmm.
In speaking with, when we were putting this event together, one of the things that struck us was how there were so many people within the Cayman Islands community who are doing quiet work that people don't really know about. And we there were so many names to choose from, to be honest. But we felt like these two women stood out from among a group of many with the work that they have done. And it's not just for the past 5 years or 10 years, but I'm sure many who are listening this afternoon will realize that both women have contributed for the last almost 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
The PIN program, of which I'm also a member of the board of that program, has been instrumental in the lives of so many young persons for the past 12 years. And I remember when I first came to Cayman, one of the first ministries that I worked in, first volunteer efforts that I did, was go to the prison to teach people how to read and write. And I believe that was part of Ms. Kathy's initiative as well. So this is not, and I've been here almost 20 years. So it's not just that they have just started. It's the continuing work and the effort that they have put in it, which I believe has, transformed the lives of so many persons within the Cayman Islands.
And that's it. As you're sharing that, I'm recognizing that, I like how you phrase it, quiet work. Because there are many who do, and, even though my mother would often say, trouble don't blow a shell, but they come back in bells, right? They want, not unlike, the clanging of the coins that we put in, because they want to bring attention. So it's good to recognize those people who do these things quietly, but it's such a profound impact. It's also good that you had a challenge, not just that you can find two, there may have been 2002. So that's a good testament to our community.
Yes.
That is, what does it say? Can I find, one good person, 10? Well, thank God we can find a little bit more, right?
Yes.
The event is on the 19th. Now, I just need to double check. Mr. Paul, we have that break? Okay. Respectfully, ladies, could we just quickly pause? But when we return, tell us about the event. Are there tickets available? If so, how? And if we can't, what? We talk about that for maybe the next 10 minutes when we come back.
Sure.
All right. To our listeners, please join us after the break.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
And the whole island is one big, big party, party, party.
Grand Cayman Pirates Fest is here. Taking over Seafarers Way. Saturday, November 12th, Georgetown events start at 1 p.m. with the cardboard boat race and Water Mermaids Showcase. The pirates storm the streets at 3 p.m. followed by the float parade, national song and heritage costume competition, and fireworks show at 9 p.m. A full Saturday of thrills for the entire family, including 8 hours of food festival. Saturday, November 12th, the party takes over Seafarers Way. Afternoon till night. Come for lunch, party a bunch, and pirate the night away.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Come celebrate 53 years with big savings. Brand Source Home Gallery invites you to their 53rd anniversary sale. 1 week only, November 7th to 12th. Save up to 40% off store-wide. Sale discounts on appliances, lighting and fans, faucets, sinks, kitchen cabinets, custom closets, mattresses, housewares, and more. Come get inspired by inspiring luxury as Brand Source Home Gallery celebrates 53 years with a sale till November 12th. 209 Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park. Call 623-5000.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross, now at Vamps Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vamps Motors, Walkers Road. Water Authority Cayman would like to advise customers in the Cayman Kai area that the authority will conduct leak detection work from November 8th to November 11th between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. Customers may experience intermittent service interruption during these tests. These works will impact customers on the following roads: Sandpoint Road, Sankola Close, Water Key Road from the Sandpoint intersection, Finger Key Road, Camp Drive, and Kaibo Crescent. The Water Authority apologizes for any inconvenience these works may cause and thanks the public for their patience and understanding.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And as we talk about the Mothers Union St. George's Anglican Church, I could say St. Anglican's George's Church, but no, let's not transpose words. In the studio, with Annalise Wisdom, and on telephone, we can feel her physical presence, though, Miss Karen Williams. It is, thank you very much, not only for taking time to share with us, but thank you together, not just with the executive committee, but with all your members and all the parishioners for your continued service and answering the call. And so, for what it's worth, my heartfelt thanks.
Thank you.
The breakfast, though. We were asking a question before the break. Should we pivot to Miss Karen, you think, Miss Annalise, or you want to start it off?
I'm fine to start.
Yes, Mom.
Karen, you can let me know if I've missed anything. But
she's taking notes. I think she will. That's the wonderful laugh. You see it here? It's beautiful, just beautiful.
So next Saturday already, right? The 19th.
Wow.
Breakfast will be served at 8:30. The program gets underway at 9 a.m. Tickets are $35 per person. Seating is limited for this event. We're actually almost sold out. There's been a tremendous response, and I'm sure that has to do with the two honorees. There will be no opportunity to purchase tickets at the door, so persons should aim to get their tickets beforehand. Persons interested in purchasing tickets can contact Karen at 325-0318 or send an email to mothersunionsentg@gmail.com. That's mothersunionsentg@gmail.com. Karen, anything else?
Yes, this is where I jump in now. So if you've never had the opportunity, if you didn't get the opportunity to purchase a ticket, you might want to find out, well, what else can I do to help this wonderful organization? This is just one of many things that we do. We have so many other activities, but this particular event is twofold. One is to raise funds towards our grandiose plans to have a parenting facilitator program in the Cayman Islands next year. We believe in one of the things that the Mothers Union, one of our tenets is we work with persons of all faith and persons of no faith. So one of the core ministries that we have is our parenting program. And what we're trying to achieve is to have trained facilitators here in the Cayman Islands in every single district. That costs money. Costs money to bring somebody over from Jamaica to conduct the training, it has to be in person, unfortunately. It can't be via Zoom. And it's a weekend training. And what that does is a recognized training, recognized by lots of developmental agencies worldwide, wherever the Mothers Union operates. And this training facilitator program will allow members of the Cayman Islands community, every single church, every single civic organization, every single government entity that deals with families or anything like that, come out, get that training. Once you get that training and you are now a trained facilitator, you go out into the community and you have your own parenting groups. Parenting groups meet either on your back porch, they can meet in each other's homes, they can meet in your church hall, they can meet wherever is convenient. Usually light snacks are provided by facilitators, and it's a safe space. We try to create a safe space where parents not sign in blood, sign a commitment to each other, not to the facilitator, to each other, that whatever is discussed within that area is confidential. It's a case of parents helping parents to navigate parenthood, because apparently when you have children, nobody gives you a manual.
There's no manual.
There's no manual.
Yeah.
The manual that we have is to assist parents to navigate the different aspects of parenting, whether it's a newborn, whether it's a blended family, which we find exists in the Cayman Islands. And one of the things that we would really like to do is to have a parenting program within our prisons. Because guess what? Our incarcerated citizens have families as well. And they need that ability to be able to connect with their children.
Well, I would love, if it's okay publicly, to extend an invitation when you're ready to talk more about it, whether it's before, during, and after, but continually about your parenting, your facilitator program that you're going to play. As you were sharing yesterday as a sort of maybe a potential partnership we see at the Clifton County High School. There are these parenting workshops, for their students and families. There is no manual, there is no license to be a parent, but we're all called to help each other. So hopefully we can extend these bridges, build these continuing partnerships, and irrespective of denomination or ethnicity or economics, you're a parent. In a sense, you sign in blood, not just from the birth, but from everything, because this is your DNA, this is your life. So please, Ms. Karen, together with Annalise.
Reach out to us. If you're out there and you would like to be a part of this program, if you want to find out more about what we do, just give me a call, 325-0318, or just send us an email, mothersunionstg@gmail.com, or just roll up at St. George's one Sunday morning.
Roll up
at the door. I'll be the usher at the door welcoming you to church.
I like how you say that. Just roll up on it,
Just roll up to church.
Come as you are.
Sunday morning.
325-0318, right?
18, yes.
Okay, all calls between 7 p.m. and 8 a.m. That's good. Nah, laughter gives good medicine.
It does.
Now I do recognize the time. We can, if you wish, try to take one quick call if you have a listener who wants to join in. Is that okay with you? We're just about the news, but is that fine?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, well, we have a good guy at the end of the table who's controlling the electronics. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hello?
Good afternoon. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, thank you. And what a pleasure to listen to those who are on your program this morning and from the Anglican Church. Thank you so much for this new initiative. And, maybe it's something that you've been engaged in for quite a long time, but I had not heard about it, if so. And I certainly want to say, while I have the moment to say it, that even just mentioning Mrs. Graham and Miss Kathy from the prison services, the chaplain of the prison services, two outstanding ladies who have given so much to the people of the Cayman Islands.
Mm-hmm.
And the program, the services to which you allude right now that you hope to embark on shortly, I think is one of the greatest initiatives that I've heard of in recent times. Because you mention taking care of the least of these, those who are in prison, and those who have families, they're absent from that family. And in some cases, this impacts, probably in most cases, impacts very negatively on the growth and the upbringing of children and so on. So I really am pleased about it. I think that every other church on the island, and right now, I don't want to speak negatively, but I think I saw years ago when I was much younger that there was an eagerness for many of the churches to come together, even if it was once every 3, 4, 5, 6 months, that there was a sharing of a common interest about the community. And I don't believe we can be careless about maintaining that. There's so many negative things that are thrown against our children. I think of something which I read about, I think that's supposed to take place tonight, some event called the Jab Fest or something, and, things like using horns on one's head and dressing according, greasing your body, painting your body, doing all sorts of things. It's so foreign to Cayman. It's so not Cayman. This is not our culture. We don't delve in those things. I think it borders on satanic worship. I think that we need to stand together as children of God and say, listen, the last thing we need in Cayman is a baramanu or some of this stuff that's going on. It's totally, absolutely foreign to Cayman's heritage and culture, and we have to do something about it. And I believe this weekend, when we are commemorating, we are thinking about those who gave their lives for freedom, those who lost their lives at sea because of trying to find a way of making a livelihood for their families. These are things we need to concentrate on this weekend. It's not because it's a holiday that we have to embark on something which is non-Christian. It's not something which can benefit our families or children. It doesn't invoke it's not anything there which revives the soul of people to the point of saying, this is going to make us better. Like a program I attended at the Harkville the other night when the Swanky Kitchen Band was playing. I mean, it drew from your soul that patriotism and that love and concern and for Cayman and its heritage, its culture. It was beautiful. It was like you really didn't want the program to end on probably for hours. But what I understand is taking place this weekend, this evening, is totally against the family, totally against Christianity, totally against what's best for Cayman. So thank you very much for what you're embarking on. We need so much more of that. I appreciate your time and your effort.
Thank you, Mom.
And thank you
yes, Mom.
for allowing me.
Thank you very much.
God bless, Mom. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And I'm grateful that you've given us a few extra minutes. In closing, Ms. Karen, any sort of final thoughts you want, and perhaps Ms. Annalise?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to go. I'm happy to go first. It's we are grateful for the interest in this event. We believe that it will be a wonderful and transformative morning. We see it as a springboard for our various initiatives, one of which is coming up next February, the 11th of February 2023, which is our Valentine's Fun Run. It's an event geared towards supporting healthy families. It's a 5K from Smith's Cove to the Avenue and back. It's a wonderful, cool morning, and proceeds go towards our outreach initiatives, in particular Maple and Habakkuk Homes for children and young adults with severe physical disabilities. We adopted those houses back in 2017, and we provide practical support, toiletries, supplies, clothing, and even medical supplies to those houses which are run by the government. So if you're not able to get a ticket for this event, consider coming out to the Fun Run with your families. Healthy hearts, healthy spirits, a good dose of endorphins, and you'll also be supporting a charitable cause. So that's it from me.
And Ms. Karen?
Just to say, our Valentine Fun Run, it's the only fun run or the only 5K on the island that is geared towards families. So we get a lot of support from corporate entities in providing us with prizes and surprises. So come on out, to that event as soon as we start advertising it and everything like that. And if you haven't gotten a ticket yet, or you can't make the event next Saturday morning, you might be able to support us in other ways. Feel free to reach out to us. My number again is 325-0318, or like I said, just roll up to St. George's Anglican Church one morning and just ask for Sister Karen. I think I'm the only Karen in the congregation, right, Annalise?
Not really.
Not really.
But I'm not the only Karen.
But you're the only one at the door.
I'm the only one at the door. But give us a call, and if you have any ideas, or if you out there believe that there's something that we can assist with, any initiative that you have, come on out. And our prayer breakfast will be a multi-church event. We will have participants from the United Church. We will have participants from Victory Tabernacle. So, like we say, we work with persons of all faiths and persons of no faith.
Thank you very much, Ms. Karen and Ms. Annalise. Blessings to both of you today and always. And I hope in the 19th will be a wonderful prayer breakfast.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you for your support.
Most welcome. And thanks to Mr. Paul for the extra inning. As we return from the news break, Miss Royal Cayman's Miss Mariah Tibbetts together with Miss Palm will be our guest. And then 1:30, Mr. Lockster will remind us about the cost of freedom and the preservation of democracy. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Recently, the RCIPS has received a number of reports of vehicle registration plates being stolen. In at least one instance, stolen registration plates have been placed on other vehicles which have then been used during the commission of other offences. The RCIPS is advising the public to be vigilant that their plates are always attached to their vehicles, and if found to be missing, to report the matter immediately. Persons can report lost or stolen registration plates by contacting their nearest police station. In international news, a judge in Texas has ruled that U.S. President Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness plan is illegal. In a ruling filed on Thursday, U.S. District Judge Mark Pittman wrote that the plan was unlawful because it overstepped the power of Congress. The ruling blocks debt relief for 26 million Americans who have applied for the program, 16 million of whom have already been approved. The White House said it disagreed with the ruling and has filed an appeal. Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther co-stars say Wakanda Forever is dedicated to honoring his legacy. The U.S. actor who played heroic crime-fighting King T'Challa died of cancer in 2020 at age 43. His co-stars say they are still processing his untimely death. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born in Watering Place, Cayman Brac, on the 8th day of July 1936, Captain Fred Elman Scott was the fifth child born to Nalio and Vera Scott. Captain Scott was a quiet-natured child who liked going on the bluff with his grandfather Oscar Brown, swimming every Saturday evening and playing cricket down where Miss Alame's house sits now. He was very studious at Creek Elementary School and did very well under the tutelage of his favorite teacher, Miss Isley Connolly in BE. Following the tragic death of his father at sea, at age 14 he left school to work with Arnold Foster to support his family. In 1953 he joined his first ship, the Beretta, a local cargo vessel, signing on as deck boy, working his way up to bosun. From 1953 until 2006, some 52 years, Captain Scott made his living working off the seas.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land. Explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. And we are very excited for our next discussion. And I can say this with all love, sincerity, that our guests are equally excited for the next segment as we welcome Mr. Lockstep. But as he has shared, he's truly honored to yield some in order to highlight the wonderful contributions of our women, to remember how important it is for us to give them their space and to appreciate, like their mothers and grandmothers and all the women before, that they have that mantle. It's a pleasure to welcome Miss Mariah Tibbetts to the studio. And
Leanne Tibbetts.
No.
It's okay. It's okay. It happens.
I joked earlier and said, like, you know what?
See, when you do jokes?
Yeah. Next thing you know, Will Smith will probably come in the studio and roll up on me.
Yeah, it's okay.
Listen, I know better because you've been in here in beautiful uniform. We see you, at the helm, taking off and inspiring men and not just ladies. Forgive me publicly.
It's okay.
Miss Palm, I don't know. Must be Friday.
Okay. Yeah, must be Friday. Yeah, it's okay.
I wonder what's in my tea.
Tibbetts is a good last name. Yeah. Lots of people named Tibbetts, so it happens.
I would almost attempt to make another joke and say, despite the last name Tibbetts and not Ebanks, but I think I'll go there.
You never know.
One mistake, next thing you know, I'll be in trouble again. No, Miss Leanne, sorry, Mom. Thank you. It's a pleasure, though. Well, let's start us a bit and do it for the protocol. Miss Palm, that's only the franchise holder. You've been amazing at mentoring.
Thank you.
But as well, monitoring to ensure that the messaging is one that speaks to us as a society, how important it is for us to be that example, that role model, and we don't appreciate many times. Mom always says, never forget who you're for. And that is so crucial, especially in this time, because you are an example, good, bad, and different.
Thank you. I think my character is very important. I think, you have to sometimes you have to make hard decisions to keep that character in place, and I think that's important. And we do that for our pageant. Our brand is very important to us. So for Miss World Cayman Islands, as well as for Girl Power Cayman, we are very careful with what we do, and with the rules that we have and the way that we operate. And sometimes people don't understand, and then sometimes they question, why would you do something like that? But Sterling, sometimes the hard decisions are the ones you got to make. And it's all for the best, right? And sometimes you might not always understand. I mean, my boss makes decisions I don't understand, and I still have to, I have to go by it, right? And then later on, I realized months later, oh, that was probably a good decision that she did, that she made. So we're happy to be on here again. Radio Cayman has been a sponsor of ours and has supported us for years, and we just want to thank them publicly for always being here for us, allowing us to come on the show, just being there. Miss Anita, just supporting us.
She's amazing. Huh?
Yeah, she's been amazing. Shanda. You have a bunch of people in here I could name, actually. Yeah. Just everyone at Radio Cayman, just always being here and just, being very supportive of the pageant. I've always said, and I'm sorry I'm talking so long, but let me just say this one part. I've always said that it will take the entire nation to rally up support behind our queen for her to really win Miss World or get in the top 5 at Miss World. It takes everyone, those just little things, right? So, we're getting there.
But this is why it's important that, and I say this recognizing that we say it on the flip side. We say, because we're a small place physically, because we're small in numbers, we should not expect. And I'm hoping and praying that whoever it is controlling the editorial part at the Compass, that...
Or any of the media
outlets. But that one in particular, long ago, when whoever was there, I mean, we all know the name, wrote that piece, never expect to be World Cup champions, never expect to get a gold medal because you're so small. No. That was one of the most inflammatory, offensive things. To me, it's the flip side. Because you're so small, you can identify, and once you do, you can support and draw alongside. So to your words,
and I think we've grown a lot since that article was probably written. And I'm not going to wrong that person. Maybe that's how they felt at that time.
No,
but
I would wrong them.
You would wrong them. Okay.
Yeah, and
I don't know who it was, but I think that we've proven now that even as small as we are, I mean, look at our gopher. Look at him. Look at Aaron.
Diving. Look at everything.
Diving, exactly.
Sprinting. Academics.
Yeah, because to that point, when I did win, I emphasized to Miss Palm that when I won, it wasn't, though I walked the stage, there were so many people who walked behind me because I got so much help. And I think the same thing, if I want to place internationally, it's going to come down to me getting the support of my
community. Got to get the support.
And one of us gets somewhere. A good friend posted today. Let me see. I won't pretend. I won't pretend that I can see it completely without
no jokes. You got to have the
no. This is going to be straight up. Because I won't identify him because he's like.
Okay.
He says this is what he posted. He's a popular guy, right? He says, "Call me crazy, but I love to see people happy and succeeding. Life is a journey, not a competition." Now there are many ways it has been posted. If we share in the success of others, if we draw alongside and we say, whether we know the person or not, if they're in our space, from our country, in our neighborhood, our classmate, someone connected to a colleague or co-worker, or anybody in the community, but if that person is known to us and we can rally with them and behind them, prop them up, push them on, pull them.
And it's little things like that, It's just telling Leanne, you did a great job on the interview the other day. Leanne, you look great today. Leanne, you're going to do great at Miss World. Leanne, you're a great pilot. I mean, whatever it is,
that's right.
It's just little things. I mean, not everybody can give money. Not everybody can be at events. I understand that. But just supporting our queen, right? And our girls, our first and second runner-up, our girl power girls who we're trying to get them to learn a bit more and get in front of people a bit more so they can learn for future, life skills. So, volunteering to speak at a girl power event, to come in and be a speaker, anything like that,
build people up, genuinely give them a compliment. Remind them, right, just how amazing they are. What does that cost you, right? But it could,
and it makes you feel good. I like to compliment women or anyone because I feel good about doing it.
And I know for me, it's really been a humbling experience to see the outpouring of love and support, like from the inception, from the time I entered to the time I won, and then like even to present day, I still have people approaching me like they're inspired by me because, you know, I'm a pilot and this and that.
Yes.
And, you know,
very inspiring.
Their daughters are inspired by me, you know, like or they themselves. So it actually like, all right, I can keep doing what I'm doing, you know. It keeps me putting one foot in front of the other, you know.
And it shows you how we can easily be pigeonholed, how we assign labels.
Yes, but Leanne is not the typical label, right?
Yeah.
And it's so funny because people come to me all the time. Oh, Pam, I have the typical pageant girl for you. And I'm like, there's no typical pageant girl. Anyone can win a pageant. I mean, you just have to. It's just like anything else. If you want to sprint, you got to practice. If you want to, a career in medicine, you got to practice. You got to go to school. Pageantry is the same way. Yeah. It's not for a certain girl.
And you don't have to wear one hat.
No,
I mean,
no, you can exactly. Look at Leanne.
Yeah,
she's all. I mean,
cadet corps, pilot,
exactly.
Crown.
Yeah, walking on stage in heels. Like, I mean,
there's another lady, right? She's been here publicly with us. She's a former Marine. Her husband I consider a good friend. Like her, they served in the armed forces in the U.S. And everybody know what I'm talking about, but I won't call it by name. And yet, a lady in all things, a strong intellect, gifted with languages and the like. But she is, a badass Marine, right? I mean, she. Just follow it. That's
I
the
bet
word.
she is. Yeah.
And that's a lady,
yeah.
right? In her elegant ballroom gown, in her uniform, in her gardening outfit. So let's stop, diminishing our people, relegating them.
They can encourage them. Leanne came and she said, "I can't walk in heels. I've never walked in heels."
Me either, girl.
So we're like, huh?
I'm with you.
But look at her now. She won.
Yeah.
What does that tell you?
Because even just for me to join, I did not want to join because I felt like I wasn't the typical quote-unquote pageant girl.
See, that's the same thing with me. I think.
But she got encouraged. Someone encouraged her and pushed her.
That's
right.
They told me, they were like, we'll teach
we're
you.
Thankful for that person. We're not going to say the name, but we're thankful for her, right? I mean.
Yeah.
Well, with that, no. I mean, your work, your career, your licensing as a pilot, this year, can I say Marine in a sense? All of that. What do you make of that? What do you do with that going forward? What do you do with that now? And what does that do for primarily other women, mothers, grandmothers, but that little young lady who is probably just in primary school, or that young college student who may be at her final year and maybe she's graduated, because we keep failing to understand that every day is a walk. Miss Leanne, I mean...
Well, I mean... At least based on the feedback that I'm getting is seeing me with, having managed so many different roles. And it's not just now, it's like throughout my life. It's been a consistent thing. But this, for sure, being such a public title, it has, from what the feedback that I'm getting, it has really motivated and brought a different light to what it is to really be a woman, particularly a modern day woman, a Caymanian, independent, strong woman, like all
just
these
your
different...
grandmothers and mothers.
Yeah. So it just sheds a different light on things. And I know for me, I always think back man, if little Leanne could see me right now, she'd be so confused but proud, like you really did that. Yes. And I achieved it. And what I will say is that it took hard work.
Yeah. If you had to write, I mean, it's always challenging to look back, through the lens of today. But if you were, at this age and you're looking back at your 10-year-old self, what are the things you wish you'd have told that 10-year-old self? And then flip it around. If you were writing at 10, what are the things you want to tell your 30-year-old self? Just use a 20-year span.
Okay. Well,
so that 10-year-old self, what would you have told?
I think I would say to be unapologetically you, be authentically you.
Cool.
Because that's what has gotten me ahead in life. It's not by trying to be somebody else or trying to uphold a benchmark that somebody else set for me. It was me who wanted to be a better person, wanted to be who God created me to be, and that's what got me to this position.
Awesome.
If it was to be the opposite way, in the sense of my 10-year-old self giving myself advice, it would probably be to have fun, like relax a little bit sometimes, because I can be very focused and dedicated and driven.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot. I was just watching a sermon the other day where it was like, why we don't honor the Sabbath like how we should. Like, God said to rest. It's the same as the other 10 commandments, but we choose not to do it. And I was like, okay, you're right.
I won't harp on that one, but thank you for that. And I keep saying this with the people closest to me that I love theirs. We get too caught up in religion and forget relationship. And I say that, leave that for now, because that's a discussion I'll have forever.
Separate.
Right? Yeah. And it's, you're right. And the Sabbath is that day of rest. I don't ascribe a date to it, but you need to honor that time that you set aside specifically. You know, and for me, what's interesting in Miss Palm, her 10-year-old self, she thinks would tell her 20 years hence.
Yeah.
How fun. Can you imagine? And I did not know you would say that. I was thinking of some possible things. What that tells me is that the pressures that we're putting on ourselves at age 10, that are put on us by parents, by teachers, by society. Have you heard a child laugh recently? Just uncontrollable laugh. Not because you're tickling them. They're just playing and laughing. Our children are not laughing, they're playing. You know why? Because we as adults are too dumb and consumed with forgetting that the child needs to be a child. And there are one or two people that, God forgive me, sometimes you could grab them and shake them. And these are my peers. I would, but what would that achieve?
I had that discussion with my two daughters the other day, and I just started laughing with them. We were talking about funny stuff, and I kept thinking, wow, this is so good that we're just sitting here talking and laughing. It's needed, you know? So.
Yeah, and I mean, I love my children dearly, and I would be the first to tell you that we're going to have fun.
Yeah.
And I don't care what you think about the laughter, as long as I'm not making them unsafe.
Right.
I'm not doing anything that harms them or anybody else.
Exactly. Yeah.
I had this little game where one in the front and one in the back, and I'm holding on, and we're jumping. Now I'm getting exercise, and they're having the best fun, because I'm basically resistance training, right?
Them,
And we had the best fun, and all there was one in the front of me, one in the back, and we're bouncing along like little bunnies, hoppity, 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 like the tiger and thing, right? And they're having the best fun.
Yeah.
I had Caymanians look at us and look at me and go, boy, something wrong with him. No. My children are laughing and they're enjoying.
And that's how it should be.
That's how it should be. Yeah. So thank you for telling us, and hopefully people will say, when are children going to be children?
Yeah. So. And it's not just for children too, it's for adults, you know, because like for me personally, I work a little bit too hard sometimes. And I've seen it. I grew up with it, you know, like I had corporate parents, you know, who were always working and didn't really have time to really focus on us. And unfortunately, like my pops, I love him dearly, but it took him having a heart attack, and he'll tell you too, it took him having a heart attack to take a step away. It was like when he looked around and saw who was in the hospital room, he realized who really mattered. You know, and he'll tell you today.
Good for him.
Well, thank God that he is well.
He's okay.
And it started to happen, but thank God that he
and
recognized
he's a proud
that.
Daddy.
Yeah, well,
proud daddy of Leanne.
We love our sons, but boy, as fathers,
I tell you, I was so close to my dad.
So thank God he recognized that. I mean, my own father, that jovialness, very serious. I mean, he's you know very, very serious, but the most fun loving. And we did. I mean, Mama didn't like it too much, but we played football in the house. He like, psh, be careful, don't mash in Mama's stuff. Now, and that love for life, that laughter, that joke that he had, right? And that is why I think I love what you just said. Make that 10-year-old be a child, and when you're 110, see if you can laugh. Pick up, boy. Right, Miss Palm?
That's right.
I see a bobo.
That was very.
Yeah, you can't.
I can't. Yeah.
You gotta know how I go to the.
Yeah.
But if I might, and I'm hoping that your schedule both work, and your year rain allows us to have many more public engagements here to inspire, and it would be something that we as parents can take away, so that we bring our children to this safe, nurturing place with an expectation of excellence, without the pressure that their measure is the A or their measure is something else. They're healthy and they're laughing and they're enjoying life and they feel the love. Man, you can't take that away. That's priceless. That's priceless. I want to have maybe sometime ask other things, but tell us more. I mean, share with us, because you have it already. Which was September, so I think today is February. I don't know what it is. It's sometime in the.
Yeah, it's November now.
There it is.
Yeah.
So in September to now, you've done a lot.
So what have you done? Yeah, maybe we can talk about what she's done. Well, the most recent was the
the
LAX trip. She can talk to you about how much fun that was.
A blast. I mean, if the one thing I can do is talk about Cayman, right? And that's what I did. So the minute, like, before we even touched down, from time we were in the gate area, you know, have you been to Cayman? Or how was your trip? Or like, you know, are you excited to go to LA? When we got to LA, the gate, the same thing. The first inaugural flight back to Cayman. Have you been to Cayman before? Have you checked out our beaches, our local food? You know, like, I can talk about Cayman all day, every day, you know.
That's the love and the passion. Huh?
Absolutely.
And we want to thank the ministry for inviting us, because, you know, it was really special. I'm on year 5, and this is the first time we were invited to take a trip overseas with the Minister of Tourism and his team. And it was a great trip. We got to know a lot of members of his team. And we just really enjoyed ourselves. So we really want to say thank you to the Ministry and Department of Tourism for taking care of us and for just, you know, keeping us apart. You know, and Leanne is an ambassador, and she's an ambassador for the Cayman Islands, so we truly appreciate that.
Well, I remember back when it seemed to me that you know, the pageant holder traveled with the DOT, and there was that.
Yeah,
that
back
thing.
in my day, there was a lot of that, but because
as if that was that long ago.
Well, it was. But because there's 2 of them now, I think it must be hard, right? So I'm not gonna question why. But I just want to show that publicly that we truly appreciated it, and it really helps. You know, when Leanne goes off to Miss World, you know, the more practice she can get networking and meeting with people, it's only going to help her at the international pageant. Right?
Absolutely.
So this weekend has truly helped her, right? Her having to pack certain things and pack underweight and make sure that she has only what she needs. You know, that all is it's a part. It's a part of her going off to Miss World. It's a part of training, right? So
that caught me off guard too. I'll be honest, because I mean, this is all new for me. But I mean, the team is so helpful. You know, they're so helpful. The West Wardrobe has been so patient with me, because as someone who wore uniforms all their life, and then now I have to pack outfits and pick wardrobe. They have been so helpful. But I do, in regards to the actual networking, I do also want to say, aside from networking with from the tourism element, I also got the element of networking with our leaders here, you know, and they asked some really good questions and we had amazing discussions, you know, and that's something that I thoroughly enjoyed. But, you know,
it's going to help her, right? So those discussions are going to help her as she goes on.
Yeah.
But how can we, as the wider Cayman community, see this as, you know, one of our family, draw alongside and support not just the physical win victory that comes with that, but be supportive, genuinely draw alongside, so you can feel that positive energy and encouragement, not just at Miss World, but start there. You know?
Yeah, so I think trying to come to our events, trying to take part in our events, just being there to, when you see Leanne, say something to her, introduce yourself to her, you know, ask her if you can help her. You know, maybe the job that you're at is something that she needs help with, right?
That's true.
Come to me, ask the committee, you know, is there anything that I can do to help you guys? We need little things sometimes, like we're having an event, we might need someone to help us, you know, take tickets up, you know, pick up, you know, be at the door for tickets or something. So, yeah, and I mean, I think it's just encouragement, even verbally. And there's a lot of very smart and expert people in our society, in our community, and we need them to help us, right? We need them to help train Leanne and get her ready, right? Yeah. So anything like that, you know, bringing her to events so she can network more and meet more people and meet those government dignitaries and people that are going to have those conversations with her. So inviting her to events, right? Getting her involved, you know, and you know, just that type of support.
Being a mentor to our people, genuinely drawing alongside to contribute instead of taking. Stop being false and facetious. Stop being superficial and stupid. Draw alongside genuinely to help our people. We complain about there's only 5 of us left. Well, what's going to happen if we don't support and nurture those 5? Yeah. You know, they're going to be extinct soon, and then we'll done a disgrace and a disservice to our ancestors and to future generations. You are, I say this word deliberately, but I don't want people to take it, you know, literally. You are a beautiful person. Because what resonates out is that wonderfulness that's within.
It's inside.
And you know.
And that's pageantry. You've just explained pageantry. Pageantry.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that.
It's not what the media makes of it. Pageantry is who you are on the inside. So let's just. I need to. Every time I go on the radio, I got to say that, because pageantry is who you are on the inside and the kind of person that you are and how you treat your community members and the kind of work you do in your community. And Leanne is that. is totally that. And she's been that way for years. Yeah. She hasn't just that today, right?
The embodiment of the golden rule.
Yeah, and that's what I thoroughly enjoyed. It was a breath of fresh air actually going through the pageant with Miss World, because they harped on that beauty with a purpose so much, and I was like, all right, I can do this. I like this, because that's what I enjoy doing. As Ms. Palm said, this wasn't something that I just picked up. All my life I've been involved in my community in any way, shape, or form possible.
With no ulterior motive. Nope. You give because there's an example set for you, but because you feel...
And it makes you feel good.
Exactly.
You're giving back to your people.
Well, that's the thing. It's not even because it made me feel good. It's just because it's in me. To serve my community is all I want to do.
The example has been set. And that's what we need to do. We're not giving, for expectation. We're giving because we can, we want to. And in a sense, it's important. You can't take all the time,
Yeah. And Miss World, they want a very well-rounded individual, right? So someone who, they have a sports segment, right? Who's athletic, who's healthy. That's more for just being healthy, right? Just taking care of yourself. Beauty with a purpose, who helps in their community. Being able to walk on stage in that nice gown, being able to have your interview, and being able to have those challenging questions and answer them, right? They have a talent competition, which is voluntary. So they really want someone that's well-rounded. I think Leanne is the perfect competitor, and I'll say this publicly, and I want everybody to remember this for after Miss World. Leanne will place in the top semifinals of Miss World. I'm going to say that right here, and I'm gonna tell you, and I want you to come back and remind me that I said that. Yeah.
You know what? Speak it into being, but it's also not just a misplaced sense of confidence. It is understanding, who you are, what you work towards. You have to have a goal.
Right.
And it's not a fantasy. It may seem as a dream, but it's achievable.
And it's a goal that you have to work towards. So we've been around for 5 years, and me and Leanne talked about this weekend. So since 2017, when we started, my committee got together and we said, you know what, in 10 years, we want a winner or a top 5 placement. We are halfway there. So it's time, in the next 5 years, you're going to see a Miss Cayman win or place in the top 5 of Miss World. Mark my words, right here on Radio Cayman, right? Yeah. And so Leanne, I believe, is going to start that. Yeah. I'm very certain. So, but again, we need that support, right? We need people there with us. Yeah. And if you want to come to Miss World and watch the show, come on, right?
That would be a nice thing, right? We take a contingent to a sporting match. Why not take a contingent
to... It would be great. It's going to be far, though, because we think it's going to be in Asia somewhere. We think Singapore or Japan. But guess what? Beautiful. Now we have the LA flight. So we're halfway there. There you go. So no real excuse.
So either Singapore or Japan. When is it?
Okay, well, that's another thing. Between March and May. It's going to be a little later this year. So, it's normally in December. Now they've pushed it to February, March. Now we're hearing it could be May. I hope it's not that far. Either way, Leanne will be ready. And, we will invite anyone who...
Well, you know what? Thank you for putting that out there and to Miss Leanne. Maybe we have a contingent. So we are 10, and we make it, we go on trips for schools and churches. We go to the promised land. We do many things. You know what? Our parents and travel. We can do the same.
So just to kind of recap what Ms. Palm said in terms of support, whether it wants to be just your time showing up, being a mentor, inviting me to different events, or, to come and speak wherever you are, or financial, whatever the case may be.
We do need funding. We don't get funding from government, so we get a scholarship. Thank you very much. We're very appreciative. But we definitely, please come talk to me if you'd like to support us, and we can partner.
So anything helps, right?
It would be an investment, not an expenditure. It's going to benefit our country.
Right. She's our ambassador. We have goals. Our committee, come and talk to me, and I can tell you a little bit more about how we're formed and our foundation, and how we're a non-for-profit. We can't pay salaries, so those things are very important to people who like to donate. So, come talk to me. Let's have lunch and let's see.
Well, thank you. I know you have not just because of your work and your other commitments, just through your reign, you have much in your calendar. So thanks for carving out some time for us.
She flew this morning, didn't you? She was flying this morning. So
it is for me always an honor to be able to sit in the presence of people, to learn, but to be inspired by them and to see their success, and it fills my heart. And thank you very much. You are not just a great ambassador, but a great inspiration and motivator. Pray to God continues to guide you, bless you with excellent health, and through you we draw strength, but through you we encourage that we can succeed, whether it's our daughters or our sons, or whether it's ourselves. Let's stop rewarding mediocrity and let's keep raising the bar, but achieve the successes along the way. And I'll say this one more time: if somebody is at the top and they're not leading and following, tell them get out of the way.
Yeah.
It is as simple as that.
It's so true. You gotta make those hard decisions sometimes, Dwayne. But you know what? It's
that's right.
It's for the best in the future, right? We can do it.
Yeah.
Those eyes are not green for any reason.
Well, I do want to say thank you because it gives me an opportunity to speak on something bigger, you know. So I really do enjoy these discussions and whatnot. So thank you.
It is a distinct honor, Mom. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Thank you for all your support from Radio Cayman and from all the public out there that are listening. We really, really appreciate it. And that support's really going to help us, you know, achieve our goals.
Right.
So thank you.
Thank you both for coming. And thanks to Mr. Locks there. His our next segment.
Yes, he's my favorite.
You see our retro talk today segment, especially honoring what this weekend represents. And that is why I feel so, not just impassioned, but confident that we have the freedoms in our democracy to not only challenge things but to champion things, not only to succeed but to share that success with others. So when we come back from the break, our next segment should remind us of our obligation, that calling is upon all of us to pick up the mantle and to carry it forward with the best of intentions. Have a wonderful weekend, Ms.
Thank you.
May every flight not only be enjoyable, but absolutely safe for you and every plane taking off everywhere.
Thank you.
All right. Please join us after the break.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist. Or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce, all piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab. And the whole island is one big party.
Grand Cayman Pirates Fest is here. Taking over Seafarers Way. Saturday, November 12th, Georgetown events start at 1 p.m. with the cardboard boat race and water mermaids showcase. The pirates storm the streets at 3 p.m. followed by the float parade, national song and heritage costume competition, and fireworks show at 9 p.m. A full Saturday of thrills for the entire family, including 8 hours of food festival. Saturday, November 12th, the party takes over Seafarers Way. Afternoon till night. Come for lunch, party a bunch, and pirate the night away.
Tune in Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. for the Daily Sports Report, covering local, regional, and international sports. Proudly brought to you by Dr. Wayne Porter, offering a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today.
As the community continues to take precautions from COVID-19, it is important to stay prepared for other disasters now that we're in the hurricane season. Here are some post-hurricane safety tips from the Department of Environmental Health. Some tinned food items may still be safe for consumption after contact with floodwater. However, tins must then be immersed in a solution made of 2 tablespoons of chlorine bleach per gallon of water for 10 minutes. Ensure that containers are air dried before opening. For full guidance on post-hurricane safety tips, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. This is our special CIA Retro Talk Today segment. November the 11th, 2020, 104 years ago, the war to end all wars was brought to an end, or at least that's what we're told. Over the years, the story in the period of history has been the same. War in the East, war in the... War, it seems like it's been always. And the argument could go forward that, mankind and womankind are really having to learn any lessons. As we're basically the same point as we were on the 11th of November 1950. But through the sacrifices and dedication over the last 104 years, democracy has been kept alive. Through the sacrifice and dedication of many brave men and women, including our very own Caymanians. On this program today, we'll give you the bird's eye view of the Caymanians, their dedication, their perseverance to the defense of freedom and democracy. First, we'll hear some shorthand accounts and the narratives by the Caymanians who have made those sacrifices. And this would not be possible without the excellent tutelage, leadership, inspiration, motivation, guidance, direction of none other than Mr. Loxton Banks. Sir, thank you again for allowing us to take some of the earlier time to share the first 2 segments. And I can't say enough publicly or privately the debt of gratitude that we have to you, but personally for reminding us that this freedom didn't come easy and didn't come with a great sacrifice, service, and cost. So thank you, Mr. Loxton.
Well, freedom's not free. Somebody has to pay for it, and
ultimately,
well, I guess we'll just have to move this thing along pretty swiftly here.
You might have taxing to take off, huh?
Yeah, in the studio here to help us, we got our CIVA, Cayman Islands Veterans Association President, Mr. Andrew McLaughlin. And Andrew, you can just give us a 27-second
very precise
narrative of your service over 50 years.
Yeah, I thank you, Mr. Loxley. It's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate the invitation. I served 22 years in the United States Marines, most of that time in various locations like the Philippines, Japan, a whole bunch of other places. And I was in support of aircraft operations. Most people don't even think airplane when they think Marines, but we do have air support. We call it a MAGTF, Marine Air Ground Task Force. Their planes support the ground forces. And it's a very interesting career. And I always told everybody that as soon as my time was done with the Marines, I was coming back home. And they said, well, there's no fighter jets in Cayman. I said, well, I'll find something to do if I have to hand out beach towels. But I'm coming home. So it's a pleasure to be here and serve with the Cayman Islands veterans.
And from the ministry, that's the Ministry of Health, I do believe.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Actually, the Cabinet Office.
Yeah.
In particular, the Protocol Office.
Okay.
Protocol
Office, we have Mr. Jamal Anderson.
Anderson.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, just 17 seconds.
Not a problem. Good afternoon, Cayman Islands. Happy Friday. Hope everyone is doing well. Just a little bit about me. I'm serving in the capacity of the Chief of Protocol. I'm acting. And I'm here today to just share some pertinent information as pertains to Remembrance Day. And I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Lofton.
He did the 14 seconds.
Just about, Well, before we get into really the meat, and this is a big part of the meat of the program, we've got a message from the Honorable Minister, yeah. Mm-hmm. The Honorable Sabrina. And we'll have that now coming up.
The 11th hour of the 11th day and the 11th month
marks the armistice agreement that ended the First World War on Monday, November the 11th, 1918 at 11 a.m. Since 1919, Remembrance Day has been observed within the British Commonwealth as a way to honor and remember the men and women who served and continue to serve in times of war, conflict, and peace. According to our National Archives, nearly 360 Caymanian men registered as being willing to serve the British Merchant Navy in 1916 for the duration of World War I. In World War II, that number tripled, with an estimated 1,000 able-bodied Caymanian men seeing active duty in the British and American armed forces. Local records also show that many served in the Trinidad Royal Navy Volunteer Reserves, with Caymanians making up the third largest contingent of all the West Indian territories. Our people have made significant contributions to the freedom and democracy which we enjoy today, and it is our responsibility to ensure that those sacrifices are not only remembered, but are understood. George Santana's is credited with the quote, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it," which over time has evolved into the more popular saying, "Those who do not learn history are doomed to repeat it." Current events are a constant reminder that one must not only learn history, but understand it and connect with it. Given the size of our nation and our population, we are far more equipped to do that than many other places in the world. As generational Caymanians, we are connected to veterans who served during some of the darkest moments in global history. Whether their stories have been passed down directly or are captured as part of our nation's history via the National Archives, that connection needs only uncovering. So, may I encourage each of us to learn more about our island's connections to these events that show up on our history books, to seek out the challenges, the trials, and the bravery of our people in foreign and domestic soil. For a local home guard was formed to monitor enemy activities in Cayman waters during World War II. Seek out those things that are also quincentennially Caymanian, like this excerpt from November 1972 edition of the Northwestern magazine, which recounts the following story. "Step forward, Ebanks," yelled the drill instructor, irate at the mistake by one of his squad recruits. His temper rose further when the whole square stepped forward. "I only said for Ebanks to step forward, not everyone," he shouted. "We're all Ebanks," came the chorus from the men in reply. Make an effort to connect and understand as you honor and remember. May God continue to bless those who keep us safe and the families who support them.
Mr. Loxley, as we listen to what the Honourable Minister shared, it may be challenging for us to harken back to over a century. It may be even sadly impossible for us to appreciate that as a small, physically small space with a relatively small number of people to so willingly volunteer to put their lives in harm's way to do something, sometimes a continent away, right? Thousands of miles.
Well, I think, we'll present some short narratives here today that will, give you an idea of how this all came about. And we want to thank the Honourable Minister, Mrs. Sabrina Turner, for that message. And, we'll go on with the narratives. And this first narrative that's coming up here, it's about the home guard. And we'll start right at home. And that's, we had a home guard, I believe, there was about probably 150 men in the Guard at the time. Andrew, I believe there's still one Home Guard that's still alive with us, Mr. Haldane Borden. And Hal, if you're listening, hope you're doing okay. And so Paul over there on the controls, he will give us that first insert, and there may be some what we would call repetitiveness in some of these inserts, but being repetitive means we're trying to get the message home. So let's go. The following is a brief, detailed word picture of the Cayman Islands Home Guard operations during World War II, as told by former Home Guard member Bob Soto. Presented by the Cayman Islands Veterans Association, Breeze Radio, and Radio Cayman. Now, Bob, you were on home soil during World War II, that is, in the Home Guard. Tell us a little bit about your sacrifices and what you went through.
I remember the war breaking out, and I was 13 years old, I think it was. It was only one radio in my neighborhood, and that was Uncle Sade, we called him, Truman Boden's grandfather. And all the old people would gather on the porch to hear the news from the BBC, what was happening in the war. And I used to go out and hang out with these old men to hear what was going on. I was very interested in what was going on. And then we started a campaign here to collect scrap to ship to England to help the war effort. We collected any old aluminum pots and shipped some cannons from the old fort back to England to use in the war effort. All the older boys, my friends who was older, became of age, and they started going off to the war, to America and the Merchant Marine, or joining the armed forces. Trinidad people went off to join the Royal Naval Reserve, and then they started recruiting for the Home Guard. I was 16 years old, and you had to be 18, but I was 6'1", so I went up there and volunteered. I told them I was 18, because I never had a birth certificate, and they couldn't prove any difference. I was born in Cuba and came here when I was 2 years old, and I never got a birth certificate until 1947. So they couldn't dispute how old I was, and I got my mother to sign that I was 18. So I got in there, and they wanted 70 men, and they could have tripled it. So I was lucky to get in there, I thought. And they recruited 70 of us, and we had a Canadian sergeant instructor, and by that time we had a U.S. Navy base here with 50 sailors and 2 bombers stationed here doing patrol for submarines, because I seen ships get blown up right in front of Georgetown Harbor going by the submarine, and the submarine come on the surface and talk to the crew. And we never had a gun here to do anything. Some of our men went out on the Simboka to pick up the men, bring them in. We went in basic training for 3 months. We had rifles and Sten guns, call them Tommy guns or Sten gun, 30-round magazine. You could cut a coconut tree in 2 with it. We got 2 field artillery pieces, 3-inch guns, and we had a lorry truck that could move them around the island wherever we needed them if it was needed. And we had some gun emplacements in Georgetown where we kept one in the gun emplacement right next to the public school. And across the street we had ammunition dump or rifle ammunition. I did training in Jamaica with the British Army. I had 2 tours of duty over there over the years, and I took a course in artillery over there. I'd like to have been on the active army or the Air Force to do something more for the country, because Caymanians are patriotic and to the mother country, and I am still that way, even though our culture has changed over the recent years, but it hasn't changed me. I would like to see some of our younger people today step up to the plate. It's a very good thing to do, serve in the military. It taught me a lot, and I had those things that I have been a guide for my life ever since I served. We had stations, Northwest Point, Barclays, Northside, East End, Pedro Bluff, and 2 stations in Georgetown, plus the headquarters, and a central where we called in all the reports from the outer stations, and we would relay everything to the U.S. Navy. All the reports had to go to the U.S. Navy base all hours of the night. I remember one night I was working with Arthur E. Banks. He was in charge of the headquarters for central control, and I was working with him, and we had a report came in 2 o'clock in the morning that the station in Northwest Point called in. They had seen a rubber boat come in and put 2 people ashore, Northwest Point. So I went up there, and they had a little building at the gate. Man is always there 24 hours a day. And when I went there, he had a 45 out laying on the shelf with a little window like this, and he was sleeping. So I took the gun, pulled it off, and grabbed him and shook him. He jumped for the gun. I said, I got it here. I was scared if I woke him up, he would shoot me. So I said, I'm not going to tell anybody anything. So I had to go directly to the commanding officer, barracks, and wake him and give him the report, And then we all saddled up, went to West Bay all night in the mosquitoes, searching West Bay for these 2 men. Never found a thing.
The preceding was presented by the Cayman Islands Veterans Association, Breeze Radio, and Radio Cayman.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
And the whole island is one big party.
Grand Cayman Pirates Fest is here. Taking over Seafarers Way. Saturday, November 12th, Georgetown events start at 1 p.m. with the cardboard boat race and Water Mermaids Showcase. The Pirates storm the streets at 3 p.m. followed by the float parade, national song and heritage costume competition, and fireworks show at 9 p.m. A full Saturday of thrills for the entire family, including 8 hours of food festival. Saturday, November 12th, the party takes over Seafarers Way. Afternoon till night. Come for lunch, party a bunch, and pirate the night away.
Come celebrate 53 years with big savings. Brand Source Home Gallery invites you to their 53rd anniversary sale. 1 week only, November 7th to 12th. Save up to 40% off store-wide. Sale discounts on appliances, lighting and fans, faucets, sinks, kitchen cabinets, custom closets, mattresses, housewares, and more. Come get inspired by inspiring luxury as Brand Source Home Gallery celebrates 53 years with a sale till November 12th. 209 Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park. Call 623-5000.
For the record. For information that matters to you, the people. Hear from the government, the opposition, independents, and other experts on issues and solutions that affect you. For the record. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, tune into 89.9 and 93.9 FM for Cayman's Straight Talk Morning Show. For the record.
I invite you to join me for the record. You are invited to be a part of this interesting and informative show. Embrace the opportunity to dialogue with your legislators, policymakers, and those charged with policy implementation.
For the record.
Brought to you by Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors.
Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola.
Radio Cayman, the voice, the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins. The RCIPS is advising the public that the northbound lane on Seafarers Way is currently closed with traffic diverted onto Goring Avenue in order to facilitate preparations for the Pirates Festival events this weekend. In international news, ex-U.S. President Donald Trump has lashed out at Florida Governor Ron DeSantis as the simmering rivalry between the two top Republicans boiled over. Mr. Trump belittled his former political apprentice as an average governor lacking in loyalty. Mr. DeSantis won re-election in a landslide in Tuesday's midterms, sealing his status as the Republican Party's brightest rising star. He is widely expected to run for the party's 2024 White House nomination. How do you do a selection when an election is tied? In Kentucky, a coin toss will do the trick according to state law. Not one, but two contests resorted to this method this week, one for a council seat, another for a magistrate. The races were among many local elections that were held during the U.S. midterm elections, and on both occasions, candidates were more than happy with the 50-50 chance provided by a flip and gravity. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. but I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
And Jamal, anything struck you with that little short narrative we had there?
Oh yeah, definitely, Mr. Loxley. It's really amazing to learn about the history of the Cayman Islands and the hard work, perilous efforts made by our veterans. And I think it's imperative, just me speaking personally, that us residents, we learn about this and we embrace this because this is part of our social fabric and this, it's part of our identity. And while all of us may not have had the opportunity to partake in the various world wars and other wars in between as such, I do think it's important that we recognize, where we came from, and this speaks to a generation far gone, but never to be forgotten, how really, truly patriotic they were in a lot of respects. So I am very eternally grateful to be in this and learning about this right now.
Well, you're a young man, and did you ever hear anything about this in school, or did you get any exposure to it?
No, sir. I don't want to throw aspirations towards the school I went to, but we actually didn't. We did learn in some respects in social studies about Fort George and whatnot. Shameless shout out to St. Ignatius. That's that's where I went to school. Yes, sir. We did learn a little bit about it, but definitely not to the extent. I will say that I've learned some history about the Cayman Islands, and that's been vis-a-vis when I was doing my master's at the National Archives, going through the Oracle banks.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of information there.
Mucho.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, we've had other young folks on various programs throughout the years, and they tell the same story. They did not have any exposure to any of this, through school, and it's important, I think, that some of this stuff gets into school.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Andrew, you got any comments quickly?
No, I'd have to agree. They need to dig in and show what Cayman has done in the past wars, for sure.
Well, we'll move on to the next short insert, and this one sort of gives us a little information on the Royal Trinidadian Navy. And there were quite a number of folks, I think somewhere about like 250 men that was involved in that from Cayman, as I believe the Honorable Minister made reference to in her opening speech. So,
Paul, thank you, man.
And now, from the CI Retro's Wattle Vault, in this period of remembering the sacrifices, dedication, and bravery of our Caymanians who served over the many years under British and United States of America military commands in defense and preservation of freedom and democracy, the Cayman Islands Veterans Association presents this reminder to us all of the sacrifices that was rendered to preserve the freedoms we enjoy today. Some made the supreme sacrifice, gave their lives. I understand that a plaque is now in place down at the Elmsley Memorial Churchyard in honor of all of those men who served in the Trinidad Royal Navy. Cap, tell us a bit about that.
Actually, the plaque, it was designed to honor the 201 Caymanians that joined the Royal Navy and went to Trinidad and was trained to serve the first batch that left early in 1941. These guys, I don't think ever got full credit for the important work that they did. And there's a story that one of them had kind of reluctantly told me because he didn't want to feel like he was bragging, but he told me about an instance where they had 5 fast patrol boats. They needed more, but that was all they had, so these were very important. These were submarine chasers and so forth. And one had been towed to Barbados to have some work done on the hull and was being towed back to Trinidad to have its engine fixed and put back in service. And then a storm came up, bad storm. The boat broke away from the tug that was towing it, and it was just too rough to try to get another line on it. So the tug came in, and the commander asked for volunteers to go in a larger ship to try to find this. I'll make it as short as possible. They found it, and twice they couldn't get close enough to the boat to put a line on it because the sea was so rough. So they asked for 2 volunteers to swim to it in the middle of this storm. And one, West Bear, and one from Cayman Brac volunteered, and they did this twice because the first rope they put on parted. In the end, they saved the boat, and they were cited. They were called in and cited by the senior British naval officer in Trinidad for their bravery, and he heaped a lot of praise on them. And the gentleman that was telling me, they said that as they left the commander's office, the Bracker said to him, "That was all well and good, but the least he could have done was give us a bottle of rum." That's kind of typical Caymanian bravado, I suppose.
But you know, just to think of it, they couldn't get close enough to the boat to put a line on board to take it back in tow. So you can just imagine what kind of weather that was, probably 12, 15, 20-foot waves.
Exactly.
And they jumped off of the tugboat to swim.
They hauled a small rope, and then when they got on, they were able to haul the tow rope across after that. The second time they did it, the towboat actually put a raft and played a raft out until the raft came close enough to the patrol boat that they could get on that. But as they pulled it back, just as they got by the ship, he said the ship pitched down so high that the stern came up and jerked the raft underneath. And he said they could look up and see this spinning propeller right over their head. They both jumped into the water, and the stern came down and smashed the raft up. But fortunately, they were able to get around and get back on.
Well, that's just a typical story of what's some of our men serving in the military and even in the merchant marine had to put up with, and their bravery and what they did in defense of freedom and democracy.
The 2 Caymanians that were instrumental in saving this patrol boat, the Grand Caymanian was a gentleman by the name of Carly Ebanks. The Cayman Brac, or Mr. Carly, couldn't be sure about his name, but he thought that his last name was Robinson. But in any event, it was two very brave Caymanians.
The preceding is an excerpt from a CI Retro's program on Caymanians' military involvement in defense of freedom and democracy, which featured former United States Air Force Airmen Captain Dale Banks and Loxley Banks and present members of the Cayman Islands Veterans Association. This special presentation was brought to you by Radio Cayman, Breeze Radio, and the Cayman Islands Veterans Association. The Poppy Appeal is ongoing, so get your poppy and wear it proudly. Well, you heard there, we went from home soil to Trinidad, and this ties in with what you mentioned a while ago. You know. And the next one, we're going from the Trinidad area over to the English Channel. But before we move on to that one, Jamel, again, because you're young folk and I just want to go on. Not really, no.
It's fine. It's fine.
I mean, you heard the story. Now, they jumped off in 10 to 15-foot waves and swam.
Mr. Loxley, I'll be the first to tell you I have no sea legs, and to think in a storm, jumping out in storm surge essentially that deep, you have to be a brave soul. Again, that speaks to the valor and courage. That's not something I think the average person is willing to do. Same way I equate it to fire officers, for example. The average person wants to run when you see a fire, whereas they do the opposite. They go towards it. And again, it just speaks to the fortitude of people who served in the various capacities. Navy, that's crazy. All I can do is tip my hat to them and thank them for their continued service and what they've done.
And, you know, thinking about it, I knew Mr. Carly quite well. He was not a man of big stature. I mean, every time that I think about, but you know what they did. You know,
is there metal, sir? Is there metal? I mean, Andrew, it speaks to what is that ethos?
Yeah, well, dedication, I think, and perseverance and commitment.
Commitment.
Yeah.
Commitment. Yeah.
And I wonder, as you were sharing that, and I'm asking us as their children and their grandchildren, their great grandchildren. Do we have the pride and the resolve within us? Are we somehow ashamed? Have we somehow been told that if you exude confidence, competence, commitment, that somehow you're being labeled as something other than, you know, Mr. Jamal's words, valiant? the valor, the service, the sacrifice. And it's not false bravado. It's about recognizing the stock from which you come. Mm-hmm. And for some of us, it is...
I believe it's still there. It has to be nurtured. And sometimes it has to be pulled out because nobody wants to be a hero.
No.
People become heroes. Yeah. And that split moment.
And I think it's an indictment, I say this, on us, not to point fingers at others. It's an indictment on us. Mm-hmm. You can't teach what you don't know. You can't encourage that which you do not possess. And you can't look to someone. My best coaches, whether it's trying to nurture me in economics or math, mm-hmm. teach me in some sport, if we don't have a connection, if we don't speak a similar language, if what they say don't resonate with me, if I don't somehow understand them and they relate to me, they can't make the impact. So unless Caymanians step up, and I don't mean just generational, respect and value this soil, its people in this place, hey, we don't work the paint on the wall.
Yeah, well, we get back to what Andrew said, nurturing. And
mm-hmm.
I think, let's say, young folks over the last, I'd say, 50 years, 45 to 50 years, probably have not had the direct nurturing that folks in maybe my generation and probably even up through Andrew's had from the family side.
You see, just pick an order. Andrew, you're next in order, man.
So, but it has to be nurtured, and that's the only way that it can flow on down through the generations.
Yeah, mm-hmm. We keep making life much too comfortable, and that it could be something that was passed to us because our parents wanted to see us have an easier life, and that just keeps echoing through the generations. But I think life has become far too easy. They don't believe the old stories of walking to school uphill both ways anymore.
Backwards, both ways, right? Do the snow in January.
Do the snow.
I was
July.
6 feet of snow.
They don't even want to hear that anymore.
No.
They're not believing it.
Well, do we have to take a break? Or
Mr. Paul, keep talking.
Keep talking, okay.
All right. We get paid to talk, Mr. Lawson.
Yeah, we'll move on from the Trinidad area over to the English Channel. And this is a short narrative by Captain Keith Tibbets, who was involved in the Dunkirk evacuation. And, that was one of the biggest evacuation operations I think that has ever happened. And
mm-hmm.
to think that this Caymanian was over there, and we'll let him tell us his story.
Yes, sir.
And now, during this period of remembrance of Caymanians and others who served in the British and United States military forces during the great conflicts and in the dangerous periods of preserving the peace, the Cayman Islands Veterans Association presents from the CI Retro's Wattle Vault this short narrative by Captain Keith Tibbets of Cayman Brac, who served under the British military command, his dangerous encounter during the Dunkirk evacuation in the May-June period of 1940. The captain speaks.
We all volunteered and went across to Dunkirk, and we took 5 lifeboats in tow. It had 95 people in them. They were off. Other ships had already been torpedoed, or bombed rather. We towed them back to London. Well, as one of the gun's crew, I was manning a 12-pound anti-aircraft gun from 5 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon out of break. And I can assure you I fired my part of shells because I fired over 3,000 shells that day. But I never lied word. Me, we got in London that evening, that night. We went and had a good drink out that night, a crowd of us, so we were all right.
A Cayman Islands veteran and seafarer, Captain Keith Tibbets of Cayman Brac, firing over 3,000 shells in a 10-hour setting in defense and preservation of freedom and democracy. The preceding CI Retro's Wattle Vault gem was brought to you by the Cayman Islands Veterans Association, Breeze Radio, and Radio Cayman. The poppy appeal is ongoing, so get your poppy, wear it proudly in remembrance and support of the Cayman Islands veterans. You think of that, a 10-hour sitting on a steel a steel seat and firing 3,000 rounds of ammunition, 12 pounds, he said. Andrew, that's a big one.
That's a big one. Yeah.
If I'm okay, Ms. Loxley, I'm reading an exchange with one of our listeners. There was a movie called Dunkirk.
Yes.
Okay. And just in the interest of respect for what was shared with our conversation, the person said that they watched it initially and rewatched it again recently as part of some exercise, and it's being presented through that lens there. But wants for us to sort of, this was prior to this narrative that we just listened to, Cayman is so far away, a speck on the map in many cases, and almost now 100 years ago, so to speak. Anybody in uniform fighting on one side of the equation that would just be another soldier. But for us, the person saying, do we understand what that means? That we were there, that person still has family today, but that person is still a son of the soil. And they say, okay, women were involved, but...
Well, it's good that somebody out there listening has this kind of recognition because it is not prevalent within the society. And it's because the educational process has not really put it on the floor. And, you say we went from home to Trinidad to the English Channel, Dunkirk, and this next one is in the Pacific. And we'll hear that one right now. Paul, you can bring up that insert. In this period of remembrance, remembering those who sacrificed and those who made the supreme sacrifice gave their lives in defense and preservation of freedom and democracy, the Cayman Islands Veterans Association, in cooperation with Radio Cayman and Breeze Radio, presents this short narrative about a Caymanian U.S. naval frogman deep-sea diver exploits during World War II in the Pacific Ocean regions. In the Pacific region, there were many Caymanians serving in direct battle roles. One such Caymanian was Denton Henning, who was a Navy frogman in the U.S. Navy, making him the first professional Caymanian undersea deep diver. He participated in many dangerous underwater night missions, surveying and clearing many harbors in the Pacific Islands region to facilitate a safe landing of military personnel and materials. Henning, after the war, became a championship wrestler and later a traveling evangelist. Some of Henning's wrestling bouts can be seen online under John Paul Henning. Denton was born and grew up in the Henning Beach, Loren Reef location, which is now the West Bay Public Beach. Remembrance Day, Veterans Day, universal observances take place on November the 11th weekend. The Poppy Appeal is presently on through November the 15th, so get your poppy and wear it proudly. All funds contributed during the Poppy Appeal go towards elderly Cayman Islands veterans' needs. The proceeding was brought to you by the Cayman Islands Veterans Association, Radio Cayman, and Breeze Radio.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist. Or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce, all piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Freedom, Cayman Rock. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from November 2nd to 10th at his Crew Road office. Clinic appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.portercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
Applications for Leadership Cayman 2023 are now open. Leadership Cayman is a 6-month intensive program that identifies and equips leaders with exclusive tools and information needed to take their leadership skills to the next level. Participants will receive exclusive insight from key decision makers and business leaders, create long-lasting connections while challenging themselves to make a difference in their community. Application deadline is Friday, November 11th. To learn more, visit leadershipcayman.ky.
Parma Carpet Christmas sale is back, starting 25 days before Christmas on Thursday, November 24th through Saturday, November 26th for a full 25 hours of savings with 25% off in stock carpet, 25% off in stock tiles, and 25% off in stock granite slabs. All orders should be collected within 25 hours or storage fees will apply. See in store for terms and conditions. Save big in Parma Carpet pre-Christmas sale, 25 days before Christmas from November 24th through November 26th. Located on 317 North Sound Road, Industrial Park. Open Monday to Friday, 7:30 a.m. until 5 p.m. and Saturday, 7:30 a.m. till 2 p.m. Call 949-5000.
We do a whole lot more than just cover your floor at Paramount Carpet.
It's that time of the year again when our spelling bees are buzzing around with activity. Join us at the John Gray High School Performing Arts Hall on Tuesday, November 29th to show your support for our best young spellers during the RBC Royal Bank's primary spelling bee competition. The spell-off begins at 10 a.m. Don't be late. Brought to you by the Department of Education Services and RBC Royal Bank.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Well, you heard those. So far, what we've covered here, we went from the home soil to Trinidad to the English Channel and over to the Pacific, out in the islands there, leading up to Japan. And our next cut here will give you just a bird's eye view of what the vets experienced. During this time of remembering the sacrifices and dedication of Caymanians and others who during democracy and freedom's greatest challenges gave their all, some made the supreme sacrifice, gave their lives, the Cayman Islands Veterans Association, in cooperation with Radio Cayman and Breeze Radio, presents a short narrative on the sacrifices and services rendered.
I was excited until I found myself surrounded by dead bodies. That kind of put a damper on things. But no doubt about it, war can keep the adrenaline flowing 24 hours a day. But Sheen and Andrew, I'm sure, can talk much better about that than I can. I had a good sense of joining the Air Force.
Shane, you want to pipe in here?
No, I concur with the captain. When I first joined the Army, I always wanted to be, from a young boy, I always wanted to be an Army Ranger. And I guess for my sins, that came true. And it's always exciting and it's all like, romantic and stuff until you get shot over the first time, and then you realize that it's a serious game that we playing there. That humbles you after that. Once you get across that first time, you realize what it's all about.
Did you ride the range with your grandfather out here with me in the cow pastures?
As a little boy, I did. I did indeed.
Well, just give us another little glimpse of your service, because you were in Iraq twice or once.
I was in Iraq once, Afghanistan once, and several other countries. Basically, what I lucked out really. When I joined the service, I got sent directly to Korea. Served the 2nd Infantry Division and specifically in the 506 Airborne Infantry Regiment, and got a lot of experience on because that whole the army in Korea is on a war footing at all times. The Marines as well, because they're just got a ceasefire going on over there. From there, came back and went straight to the 101st, and the 101st is deployed all over the world all the time. So we got a lot of real world experience as young soldiers, which put us in a good spot when it came to the larger conflicts after 9/11. We had a lot of experience with dealing with conflicts and conflict zones and leading soldiers in conflicts.
Andrew?
Yeah, I can say that from my experience, there was a big sigh of relief when they found out we were going to war, because for the Marines, we train for war but pray for peace. But of course, when your back's up against the wall and you got to produce, every day we're training and getting ready for that conflict. So it's almost a sigh of relief when it's finally in front of you and you're going to get to use that equipment and the tactics and things that you've practiced on tables and boards and exercises. Now we're going to get to put it to some real use. But as I have to agree with my colleagues here that and my fellow soldiers in arms, that when people start dying around you and things start taking place, that's when the realities come.
The preceding was an excerpt from a CI Retro's Wattle Vault program on Caymanians military service. Heard were Captain Dale Banks of the United States Air Force, Sergeant Andrew McLaughlin of the United States Marines, and Sergeant Shane Bothwell of the U.S. Army. They spoke about their former experiences in the military. Presented by the Cayman Islands Veterans Association, Breeze Radio, and Radio Cayman.
And welcome back, and I'm trusting and praying that we're listening intently, intentionally trying to absorb and appreciate, respect and value that, as Mr. Loxley always shared, freedom isn't free. I try hard not to be disrespectful nor disparaging, but too many times I think, as we have this discussion, Master Sergeant, we don't appreciate the freedoms that we have. We don't appreciate that thing which we use, mightier than the pen and the sword, the thing that somehow falls between our lips, how quickly and easily we are cutting with one another, that we can lift up as well as we can destroy. And because we sometimes position either through office or some other, I use a different word, we forget how important it is to lead by example and to value, respect, and appreciate the sacrifices. The last narrative, you were part of it. And I'm thinking back to Sergeant Bothwell. Thomas, we know his parents. We went to school with him. We interact with him now. And the ease with which he downplayed, the 506, the 101st. Yeah. If we don't know what that means, because either we haven't been there, consciously understand, we're deployed first, we're doing this. Yeah, sadly, many were deployed but never returned. Or when they did, they still carry the burdens. They're still sworn to the preservation of the confidentiality that they're given. And we sit there and read at school, boys telling stories. Andrew, as best as can, as a civilian, could we understand that?
I don't think so. But
yes, sir.
I don't think so, but I can tell you that if you want a real life example, look at Kosovo. Those people were just trying to live. Mm-hmm. They were going to school, they were going to the store, and somebody brought the conflict to them. Mm-hmm. All they could do was run. But unlike Afghanistan, the men over there, and I'm sure a few women, picked up something and said, "Not today, Bobo." Because Afghanistan, they just swooped in and took back over the country with very little resistance in any direction. But Kosovo held their ground, and now they're gaining ground. Yeah. Because once you have that taste of freedom, nobody can take that away that easy.
Look at Estonia. Today, our own government is taking from the e-commerce, e-government example of Estonia. I'm not going to get into the pros and the cons and the whys and wherefores, right? We hear back to, just go back to World War I, World War II, but Sergeant Murphy talked about Korea, and for some of us, it's probably a movie coming on the screen there with you at some point. But Mr. Loxley, as we go into the next narrative, I wonder if we can understand that, for those of us who, have family and friends who went to the first Gulf War, the comedian laugh and say, it was so good we did it again like World Wars, right? Or the conflict in Afghanistan, the things that transpired after 9/11. And I wonder, from the civilian perspective, we see the men and women in uniform, but we wonder if can I call them the advisors in the shadows, who call dictating direct actions, who never seen, heard, never accounted for, or maybe held accountable publicly. You were, a member of the USAF. You told us about, that atoll way in the Pacific. When only now some of the things have been declassified that we can talk about. But there's so much more that can't be said, and we may never know.
Well, I'm sure there's more that can be said. But I may never know it in my lifetime. But, it's, and we get back to what Andrew said. I don't know, and that specific assignment that you're talking about, I went about it, and you'll hear that same thing in some future cut from Cavell Glidden, who was in World War II sailing and served in I think it was the North African campaign in the British Army. But
so let's go to the. No, I like how Miss Locke said the vault. I would say the vault, but and extract a narrative, a very familiar voice, and not just a former director of broadcasting, but harking back to his days in uniform. So let's listen to this clip as Mr. Locke relays to us.
The following presentation is from a Radio Cayman CI Retro Wattle Vault program, brought to you by the Cayman Islands Veterans Association, Breeze, and Radio Cayman, featuring Cayman Islands veterans Bob Soto, Loxley Banks, and Captain Dale Banks.
And I load weapons and still do.
Well, certainly the military does bring you into between the lines and point you in the right direction, most of us.
But you're an army man too, but you haven't told us anything about yourself. I want to hear about you.
Well, U.S. Air Force, 4 years.
You were the Air Force too?
Air Force, 4 years, right. 56 to 60, and Operation Hardtack.
Which was a nuclear research project conducted in the mid-Pacific on a little island rock, 6,000 feet long and 2,500 feet wide, known as Johnston Island Air Force Base, to test the results of a ultra-high level of fission released in the atmosphere through the detonation of a megaton atomic bomb some miles up in the atmosphere.
And quite a number of other little scrummages, but that was during the Cold War, and it was as difficult to keep the peace as it is to win the war. Yeah. And the Cold War was fought actually between the ears in the mind, because the only thing that kept everybody at bay was that Russia knew that if they started anything, the U.S. could wipe them off the map in 2.5 hours, and the U.S. had the same knowledge, so everything was kind of equalized. Freedom isn't free.
It isn't free. Somebody has to make the sacrifice.
I think strength is the only thing that is going to protect us. It was only when President Reagan decided that the U.S. was going to become strong enough that they can whip anybody in the world, or the whole world together if need be.
Well,
that the Soviet Union started to collapse.
So, in this period of high levels of concern about the nuclear threat, and we're in the remembrance period of Caymanians and others who over the years have stood in defense and preservation of freedom and democracy. Get your poppy, wear it proudly, in honor of our Cayman Islands veterans.
And welcome back, and we certainly want to ask you, as we make the poppy appeal, to not to get it only, not wear it proudly, but reflect on it. in Flanders Fields, maybe a poem that some of us can recite without any challenge for some of us to go, what he's talking about, and what does that mean? Well, maybe use this weekend as a conversation to appreciate where we are and what we need to do. But Mr. Locksley, we heard that clip. For some of us, as students of history, as students who are required to prepare for an examination, we could look to wars. Depending on where we are in our studies, we may go back to the Romans, or we may go back to biblical times. We may only think about, civil wars, as it were, as if it's anything such as civil in a war. But I wonder if I could ask you, sir, with great respect, at that tender formative years in your life, wearing a uniform, doing that, looking at history as to the wars that transpired prior, would you have consciously be able to look forward and say, well, following World War II, there would have been all those conflicts almost immediately thereafter and continuing to today, where it would seem that, but for a miracle for some, we're on a precipice of a major global catastrophe?
Well, I tell you, if I reflect back, and this would be, probably October of 1958.
Mm-hmm.
And we completed that operation. And actually, we only did 2 high atmospheric nuclear explosions. Had a third one ready to go. But at that time, the U.S. and Russia went into what they call a nuclear moratorium. And if you go back through and trace it back through United Nations and all this, the proposal was made by the U.S. to get rid of all the nuclear material or whatever they had at that time. Russia, being having veto at the Security Council, didn't go for it. And at that junction, the U.S. sort of pulled back on their research, but Russia never did. So therefore, in about 3-4 years, Russia was up to the level of the U.S. and it just kept moving forward. And hey, we're back at the same spot today. Yeah. And just as a sidebar here, we're in the middle of the 60th anniversary of the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, and we almost seem to be where we potentially could have been 60 years ago.
Yes, we're probably more at risk at this time.
Can I ask, and you can take us off course, back on course. Is it then that we lack leadership, political leadership, civic leadership of all sorts? Are we like big bullies on the playground? And the leadership that is required to step up. It's not even so much under a case of game theory at work. Is it that we lack integrity, respect, humility, leadership, not to dictate because you have the biggest gun or the most goal, but to say, hey boys, sometimes the greatest exercise of power is restraint. Lead by example. Isn't it strange that we have this thing, mutually assured destruction? Just think about our 3 letters spell. It is madness. It's mad. Andrew, what do you think, man?
Well, I believe you're right on. It's about leadership because we just stay on Kosovo.
Mm-hmm.
The world watched him build his troops at the country's border and did nothing until after he made a move.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been matched from the beginning. You build yours, we build ours. That's the only way you keep it at a standstill. Yeah?
Yeah. You play a football match, you don't have 11 players on one side and an empty goal with no players.
Exactly.
Well, we looked at the same thing happen.
With Crimea?
15 months ago.
Mm.
Well, not 15 months,
No,
5 months ago.
Well,
when Russia was masking their troops on the border of Ukraine, and the world stood by, and it comes back to leadership. But I think somewhere in that whole scenario, the dollar is a big factor, and it also goes back to, I think dictators or tyrants throughout history you've never really been able to convert them, you know. And if you give them a big stick, then, you know, the whole world is in trouble. And I think that is basically where we're at now. And we haven't learned, it seemed, anything over the years.
It's pretty obvious that Putin wants to rebuild USSR. That's his main end goal. However he puts it in small pieces, he's trying to rebuild this great dynasty of the USSR.
But
it's not going to stop.
I wonder, and I'm very respectful for the time, also mindful where we are in that time slot. But I wonder if we, whether we're now 20 or we're approaching 120, whether we either have an understanding and a read of history, whether the stuff we read is accurate or recorded and reflected, and we're so quick to pick up, I call it, the dumb device that we are all tethered to, and type in something and expect that what's given back to us is actually accurate. We don't only not trust, we don't even verify. And I was reading, a friend shared a scripture with me. I prefer certain versions as opposed to others. I do not believe the NIV is anything of worth. And it said, on the Jeremiah 29:11, I know it as I know the plans I have for you. The plans in the NIV, according to the version that he shared, I know the thoughts I have for you. A thought and a plan now one and the same, Those two words are not synonymous. One can't be substituted for the other. And I use that as an example. I wonder if we're so oblivious to the changes that are no longer subtle.
Well, it all comes back to, I think people's motive and how they present these things, and there's it's going on all over the world.
I think the tide is changing personally as far as leadership goes,
Yes,
because
sir.
people are looking for strong leadership now. And that was very clear in the race in Florida with Governor DeSantis, right?
Uh-huh.
He holds a hard line, former naval officer, right? And he don't care. He's not care about the popular opinion. He's going to make a decision. He's going to stand by his decision, and he's going to enforce that decision.
Do the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Exactly. And integrity is, doing the right thing when it's not even thought of being the right thing to do. You do it because it has to be done. And he won with a large margin over a competitor that was trying to whitewash everything.
But look at the wishy-washiness, the flip-floppiness, I'll use some other words, but, probably Miss Norma say, boy, your vocabulary is better than that. They loosely, the word media, whether that is the respected media that has been around for centuries, whether it's the citizen journalists, the so-called social media, we post things without understanding the impact, without verifying its veracity, without appreciating that it should be more than just a one-way, dictation, as it were.
I think that the advent of cable television and the internet in general just splattered everything, because you've got people supposedly reporting the news who knows nothing about news. They're just
talking heads,
editorialists that editorializing on something that they really don't know anything about.
Check.
And it, it encompasses millions of people, and some of them take it in, swallow it down. But anyway, I think we have to move on here, because we could discuss this all day.
Solve the world problems right here.
We could do that,
and we move now from the Mid-Pacific area, where I was at there. We go into the North Atlantic with Mr. Lee Smith, former, he was a veteran, member of a veteran society and seaman also, but served during the war and actually was a prisoner of war.
From the CI Retro's Wattle Vault, Radio Cayman and Breeze Radio, in cooperation with the Cayman Islands Veterans Association, presents this short narrative in honor of all of our Caymanians who served under UK and United States military commands during democracy's greatest challenges, sacrificing and giving their all in the defense and preservation of freedom and democracy, and the freedoms we all enjoy here today in the Cayman Islands. Listen now to seafarer Mr. Lee Smith, who in 1940, during World War II, was sailing under the British Admiralty Military Command, as he briefly describes the danger he faced.
I'll never forget, this voyage was from Australia. It was in the South Atlantic between Cape Town, South Africa, and Sierra Leone, North Africa. We saw this. It looked like a bird on the horizon, and shortly after that, the captain got a signal saying, "Stop and don't use your radio, or we'll blow you out of the water."
So this was a message from the Germans?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was the Admiral Scheer, and in no time at all, this ship was alongside of us, told us to take our boats and get off the ship and proceed to the Admiral Scheer. And as soon as we got aboard, they torpedoed our ship. The Scheer took us aboard a supply ship, and we was on there for 3 weeks.
This is a German supply ship?
The German supply ship. We was there for 3 weeks. Then they took us to France. We spent 3 weeks in France, and from there to Germany.
And then 5 years in a German prisoner of war camp, being liberated at the end of the war, returning home to Grand Cayman and going back out to sail the 7 seas. The preceding is a presentation of the Cayman Islands Veterans Association, Radio Cayman, and Breeze Radio. The Poppy Appeal is ongoing, so get your poppy and wear it proudly in this period of remembrance and always.
HSA's cardiology clinic is now located at Smith Road Medical Center. Our cardiology team provides expert care and treatment for heart conditions such as coronary artery disease, heart failure, arrhythmias, hypertension, congenital heart diseases, among others. The new location offers state-of-the-art cardiac diagnostic testing, including echocardiograms, ECGs, and stress tests. To contact, call 949-8600. At HSA, your heart matters to us.
Yay, mateys! Pirates Fest is here. Stay in the know. Get the full event lineup at piratesfestcayman.com.
The Rotary Central Music Extravaganza is Saturday, November 26th. Your ticket, your chance, your prize. Grand prize, $40,000. Second prize, $4,000. 6 $1,000 prizes and more. Get your $25 tickets now through Rotary Central members, Rotary Central ticket sellers, eventpro.ky, or WhatsApp Rotarian Annie Rose Scott in Cayman Brac at 916-7310. The Rotary Music Extravaganza at Salty's Grand Harbor. Performances by Heat, Fabulous 68 and CNB. November 26th, you can be the winner. Proceeds fund Rotary Central Community Projects. Rotary Central NPO number 232. Rotary, all the good you imagine.
Hello, Cayman Islands. This is Carly Davis. Come and enjoy an evening of thanksgiving and praise at Cayman Gospel Fest on Saturday, November 19th at the Lions Center. Come see Cayman's best performers and church choirs. My band and I will be there. Admission is free. See you Saturday, November 19th at the Lions Center with Cayman Gospel Fest. You cannot afford to miss it. Yes, come out and let's have fun together.
Brought to you by the Progressives, celebrating 20 years of service to the Cayman Islands.
The Department of Environmental Health would like to advise Georgetown residents to get their bulk waste ready for collection from November 14th to the 19th. Household appliances, furniture, and other items too large to be handled by the weekly DEH collection crews should be placed by the roadside where it is easily accessible to DEH collection crews. Metals and vegetation should also be separated from other bulk items. Do not obstruct the roadway or storm drains or place tires, construction and demolition waste, hazardous materials, or electronics. For more information on the Georgetown bulk waste collection from November 14th to the 19th, please contact DEH's Solid Waste Management Section at 949-6696.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Well, Jamal, after hearing all of this, you think you can go out and buy a whole basket of puppies?
Yes, sir. Definitely want to continue to help the Veterans Association as best as possible.
Well, I mean, we've moved around the world here
Yes, sir.
The last hour, and what we're going to do now is give you a short excerpt on the value that faith plays in all of these various situations. So, Paul? In this period of remembrance, remembering those who sacrificed and those who made the supreme sacrifice gave their lives in defense and preservation of freedom and democracy, the Cayman Islands Veterans Association, in cooperation with Radio Cayman and Breeze Radio, presents this short narrative of the role their faith plays in the lives of the Cayman Islands freedom fighters. You know, one thing I'd like to just ask you here. I think we all come from Christian homes, brought up in Christian homes. How important did our faith play in our existence within those kind of environments? Captain?
Well, they say there are no heathens in foxholes. It plays a big part, you know. On the other hand, you got to realize too that, for instance, there are other religions. If you're killed in the line of duty, let's say, you're going to go straight to heaven, where you're going to have 72 virgins waiting for you or something, which would seem to me makes it a lot easier to die. If you're a Christian, you're not quite sure where you go.
You don't believe that if you're a Christian. Well, I'm very proud of my faith, and when I think back that out of the 70 men that I've served with, there was 65 men that's gone on, and for their yesterday, they gave their yesterday so we may have our tomorrow.
Shane, you got anything to?
I'd say the truth. Yeah, I had my come to Jesus experience as a young soldier in Africa. First time I ever went to that part of the world. It was just a short deployment just to do an evacuation of U.S. embassy personnel in the Ivory Coast. Really didn't think we were going to get back out of there. And I remember the platoon sergeant saying, "All right, guys, let's pray." And we prayed before we left the compound to get back to the airfield. And from then on, I was a believer.
It works.
Yes, sir.
Andrew?
In the Marines, it starts in recruit training. There's a very strong religious influence in recruit training. The Marine Corps motto that goes back to the beginning of the Corps is Semper Fidelis, always faithful to, number one, God, your Corps, and your country. And we instill that in each and every Marine. Like the captain said, there can't be no atheists down in a foxhole. Another big influence that they couple along with religion is Mama.
Yes.
Never forget, she's the one that got you this far.
That's right.
And you owe her a lot.
And we dare not forget their old dad.
I think the military certainly places a great emphasis on your spiritual well-being. You'll find, I'm assuming, that most of the branches, or all the branches, and certainly in the Air Force, the units are accompanied by a chaplain, or at least one chaplain, a non-denominational chaplain, a chaplain nevertheless.
Well, you know, even in training, you know, that was one of the things that they, on Sundays, they said, you know, you have to go to chapel. Yep. It was a demand. I mean, you got up early and you went to chapel, and then you pounded the ground for the rest of the day.
Yeah, we was all marched into the Presbyterian Church, all 70 of us, when we were in boot camp.
Members of the Cayman Islands Veterans Association discussing there the role that faith plays in military situations. Combat and dangerous assignment. The preceding was brought to you by the Cayman Islands Veterans Association, Radio Cayman, and Breeze Radio in honor of the Cayman Islands veterans. The voices you heard were Loxley Banks, Andrew McLaughlin, Shane Bothwell, Captain Dale Banks, and the late Bob Soto. Well, you know, I think that's a good place to bring our program to a close. You know, faith. And I think if you relate that to all of what you heard here today and where we're at today as far as world conflict and so forth, that faith and that belief, I think if we follow the good book, you know, and we all said we don't really have the answer other than that, because that's the one thing I think that will lead us into peace.
Definitely, I agree.
Mr. Loxley, if you offer me up, final word, I perhaps first say to Master Sergeant, anything you wish to share, sir?
No, I would just like to close by saying that, everyone who serves is a calling, and it's not for everyone, but for those people that have served, it is a privilege to serve and defend freedom. Just by putting on a uniform every day and standing there, you're saying that not on my watch. Yeah, you sleep good tonight because I'm on the front line. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and our families serve with us as always, because everywhere we go, they're tracking us and following us and making sure we're okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
but the people in the Cayman Islands, we have a very proud history of people who have served in the Cayman Islands, and I just want everybody to come out on Sunday. We're going to have some details given by Jamal, but I want everybody to come out Sunday and represent for all those people that gave their greatest sacrifice. They gave their life so that we can live in freedom every day. Come out on Sunday and wear your poppies and represent for the Cayman Islands.
Definitely. And just to follow up on that, here at the protocol office, we definitely employ members of the public to come out to attend. So just a quick rundown as to what to expect. The service itself starts at 10:45 a.m. We are asking the public to be seated at 10:30 a.m. for a prompt start for 10:45. A moment of silence will be commenced at 11 a.m. exactly. So where is this taking place? In Grand Cayman, it will be at Emsley Memorial, and a simultaneous service will be taking place in Cayman Brac at Stake Bay, Sanatoff. So both, as I said, both Grand Cayman and Cayman Brac will be having services commencing at exactly the same time. What's different about this year? So just want to highlight a couple of things. This will be the first time that the Coast Guard and the regiment will be part of the contingent, the parade contingent, so that's something to look out for. This is also a historical moment as the Privy Council, who are currently now, or will be arriving on island soon, will be sitting, and Lord Reed will actually be laying a wreath on their behalf. In addition to that, we'll also have Chief Justice Ramsey Hale laying a wreath on behalf of the judiciary. And just want to point out the London office, as usual, will also lay a wreath at the House of Parliament in the UK. Lastly, I'd like to close off by encouraging the members of the public that do attend, please purchase the poppies. I know this was mentioned before, but the poppies, all the proceeds associated with poppy buying go directly back towards the Veterans Association. We cannot emphasize enough how much work they do for those who have served. So with those few words, I thank you all for listening. And that's it. Over to you.
The poppies are always free. Of course, the donation afterwards is up to the person, but the poppies are free.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope that we've given the general public a bird's eye view of just, Caymanian service in the defense of and preservation of freedom and democracy. Because, with all our troubles and whatever, I think we still maintain a fairly good level of the democratic process of life here in Cayman. And we have a lot to be thankful for. And you can imagine if 60 years ago, if things had got a little hot just across our border here, what would have happened?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Loxley. There's much in my heart I would say about in deference to our guests and their schedule. Thank you, sir. It's an honor to have been included in this discussion. I trust that people will not only physically participate, but spiritually, mentally, and otherwise be minded that freedom came out at, for some, at the ultimate sacrifice and cost. So let's not take it for granted. Mr. Paul, thank you very much, sir. And to our listeners, have a very blessed, safe, and, mindful long weekend, and not just celebrate because it's a day from work or double pay if you do, but it's because you have that privilege that's been given to us because of the sacrifice of not just yesteryear, but ongoing. Until Tuesday, have a blessed, safe, wonderful weekend.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331.
Talk Today is proudly brought to you by Pirates Fest 2022. Stay in the know. Get the full event lineup at piratesfestcayman.com.
And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village. Convenient opening